Chapter 4787. Qingfeng gave up, but Bai Li Fei didn't. He shouted and unleashed the terrifying heavenly rock 9 slashes towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. A defeated opponent dared to fight. He formed a rock shadow and swept in all directions. The golden rock carried the power of divine fire and bloomed between heaven and earth, colliding with the sky. The two forces were really too terrifying. In an instant, the heavenly rock trembled as if it was about to split open. So strong. The other party was really too terrifying. Even the heavenly rock 9 slashes couldn't do anything to the other party? 9 slashes and 1. Heavenly rock slays the dragon. The heavenly rock phantom behind him became even more realistic, as if it had crossed through time and space. The terrifying claws wanted to tear everything apart. The flames that filled the sky were torn apart, and the rock was also torn apart. It quickly charged towards Lin Xian. The people outside the valley were stunned when they saw this scene. As expected of the Heavenly Rock clan's bloodline, it was really too strong. Legend had it that the Heavenly Rock ate dragons. Everyone felt that Lin Xian might not be able to block it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Heavenly Rock slays the dragon. Today, you can slaughter one. Look! His bloodline was also activated. Terrifying phantoms appeared behind him one after another. There was a Tyrannosaurus Rex baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, a sword dragon that swept through the 9 heavens, and an incomparably terrifying sea dragon. Each of them looked down on the world. That terrifying aura made everyone's soul almost split open. What a terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons! Was he from the Dragon Clan? The surrounding people all went crazy. The Tyrannosaurus Rex roared towards the sky and waved its claws, blocking the sharp claws of the heavenly rock. Large cracks appeared between heaven and earth. The sword dragon rushed out. The scales on its back turned into divine swords that pierced the clouds. The heavenly rock phantom was forced back. There were even many places that were pierced. The sea dragon swept out, swallowing it with the power of 10,000 seas. The 10,000 dragons fought the heavenly rock and finally tore it apart. Bai Li Fei retreated, his body torn apart. He retreated with a face full of shock. He didn't dare to attack again. It was true that the heavenly rock slayed dragons, but it was only an ordinary dragon. If the dragon race was strong enough, they could also kill the Sky Ping. There was nothing absolute in this world. Everything depended on one's strength. Right now, he could not defeat these dragon shadows in front of him. All right. Now that the flies have been cleared, the two of us can collect the innate spirit fire. Lin Xian walked forward. On the other side, Yenryu was also blooming lotuses with each step. The two of them came to the front and felt the tremendous power coming from the innate spiritual fire. They were about to take action. However, at this moment, the void split open. Terrifying black flames swept out. One blade was aimed at Lin Xian, while the other blade was aimed at Yenryu. Clang! Lin Xian flipped his hand and unleashed the great rock spreading wings, slamming into the black flames and emitting a deafening sound. The entire valley began to shake violently. On the other side, Yenryu used the green lotus sword song and pierced through the black flames. Her eyes shone with a sharp light. Was there anyone else? Lin Xian coldly snorted. Who was it that didn't know the difference between life and death? Get out here. 2 young men. Wanting to obtain the innate spirit fire was just a pipe dream. Get out of here obediently, and I'll spare your lives. Endless black flames condensed in the sky, forming an old man with a pagoda floating in his hand. The people outside the valley were terrified. Who was this? A true great saint had come. Someone's pupils shrank. I know him. His name is Mo Shan. Not only is he a great saint, but he's also very terrifying. He's ranked 5,000th on the Saint Origin list. What? To be able to be on the Saint Origin list, how terrifying was his strength. Not to mention being ranked 5,000th. He was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. Those 2 young men were in danger. Yes, although those 2 had the combat strength of a great saint, They were probably still a little weaker than a true great saint. Not to mention a terrifying victory like Mo Shan's. Even if they were in the same realm, the gap between them was huge. Some people could instantly kill experts of the same realm. Mo Shan was a very terrifying existence among the great saints. Hearing the discussion outside, Mo Shan sneered. "Did you hear that? I'm not someone you can challenge. Get out of here." As he spoke, the black flames under his feet turned into a hellfire python, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. "Sigh, reckless. Seems like I have to use some tricks." Yan Ryu sighed. Lin Xian sneered. "How dare you be arrogant in front of me just because you're ranked 5,000th? Get out of here." The people outside had all gone crazy. These two youngsters were too reckless. Mo Shan's face sank. "It's been a long time since someone dared to challenge me. Since the two of you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." In his opinion, the two of them were just reckless. But this time, he was wrong. These two young men couldn't be looked at with ordinary eyes. Yan Ruyu was extremely mysterious and had a super weapon. And Lin Xian was ranked 3,000th on the Saint Origin list. Compared to Mo Shan, he was much higher. The black flames that filled the sky condensed and covered the sky, enveloping the entire valley. "Retreat." The surrounding people retreated. At this moment, they didn't dare to go forward, because the hellfire python in front was too terrifying. They were afraid that after the hellfire python, these people would be turned into ashes. A mere hellfire python dared to fight against a real dragon? Lin Xian laughed. The 1,000-dragon bloodline behind him exploded again. He swept across the area. "People from the dragon race?" The great sage of Mo Shan frowned and sneered. He would kill the dragon race too. He waved the black pagoda in his hand. This was his weapon, a great sage weapon. With one attack, the power of the hellfire python became even more terrifying. It was a great sage weapon. The people outside felt the aura and were even more frightened. Although they couldn't see, they knew that the battle would end soon. "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, the heaven-devouring jar appeared. A terrifying aura exploded and swallowed all the hellfire python. Then, with an even more terrifying power, it rushed towards the great sage of Mo Shan. "Damn it, you can actually block my great sage weapon." Mo Shan was shocked. He realized that Lin Xian also had an incredible treasure. After dealing with this woman, he charged towards Yan Ryu. Yan Ryu snorted. A green lotus appeared behind her and swayed gently. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The great sage of Mo Shan's body instantly turned into a bloody mist. Even his weapon, the pagoda, became dim and was about to shatter. He was terrified. It was as if he had seen the most terrifying thing. Half of his sage blood burned and severed heaven and earth, while the other half took his soul and great sage item and escaped with his life. The void broke open and Mo Shan escaped like a stray dog. The people outside were stunned. What was that black shadow? It seemed to be the great sage of Mo Shan. Was he injured and escaped? Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe it. Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei sucked in a cold breath. What happened inside? Such a shocking scene was hard to believe. At this moment, no one dared to enter the valley. It was as if the Spirit Void Valley had become a land of death. Chapter 4788. In the valley, Yan Ryu looked at Lin Xian in shock. She was surprised that Lin Xian had managed to get his hands on the heaven-devouring jar. Lin Xian was even more shocked. Firstly, Yan Ryu was able to recognize the heaven-devouring jar immediately. Secondly, the green lotus behind Yan Ryu was so terrifying that it sent chills down Lin Xian's spine. Lin Xian felt that it was weaker than his great dragon sword soul. Yan Ryu's trump card was indeed powerful. Lin Xian wondered what the true identity of this woman was. "All right, time to collect the Khanate spiritual fire." Yan Ryu smiled as the green lotus behind her disappeared. Lin Xian nodded and controlled the heaven-devouring jar to start devouring the Khanate spiritual fire. The Khanate spiritual fire was equally terrifying, and its power was comparable to that of a great sage. In fact, it was even more terrifying than the great sage of the demonic mountain. However, Lin Xian and Yan Ryu had many tricks up their sleeves, and it was not a problem for them to control the Khanate's spiritual fire. In the following days, the two of them cultivated in the Spirit Ruin Valley. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed and the people outside had already left. It was not that they did not want to enter, but they could sense a fatal danger the moment they entered. Even a great sage would not be able to enter, let alone them. Qing Feng and Bai Lifei left as well. There was no need for them to wait any longer. Only the Spirit Ruin Valley ahead of them had turned into a land of death. There were towering flames rumbling continuously. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lin Xian was still absorbing the Khanate's spiritual fire. On the other hand, Saint Origin Ancient City was bustling with activity again. It was time for the annual test of the 3 main orthodoxies. Lin Xian wondered how many Skyprides would be able to enter this year. The True Path sect was still bustling with activity. There were 2 figures in the crowd. One of them was surrounded by ice that made one shiver. As for the other person, there was a red leaf circling around his fingertip. With a smile on his face, the 2 of them entered the testing grounds. They passed the test successfully. Not only that, the 2 of them started to challenge the experts on the stars ranking the next day. Both of them successfully made it to the stars ranking. One of them was ranked 100 on the stars ranking while the other was ranked 87. This caused the people of the Tao sect to go into an uproar. Another top-tier genius had come this time? Heavens, the man with the red leaf was even more terrifying. She was even more terrifying than Fairy Jiu. So what? Currently, Fairy Jiu was ranked 30th on the new list. These newcomers couldn't compare to him at all. Senior Brother Fu, this is indeed the Tao sect. It's really strong. Every single person here is much stronger than the ones we've seen before. Lu Yuan looked at the figures in front of him with excitement. Fu Hongye also took a deep breath. It's fine. Although we've just entered, we'll definitely strive for greater heights. These 2 people were Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan. Previously, the 2 of them had been cultivating in the Xiantian Pavilion. From the looks of it, they had already left the Xiantian Pavilion. He began to travel around the buried Emperor Star. On the 10th day of his arrival at the Tao sect, a piece of news swept over. Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan were both shocked. It was said that a lot of treasures were lost in the Dragon Palace overnight. They saw a monkey appearing and disappearing like a ghost and were now pursuing it with all their might. There was even a cauldron of pills condensed from more than 10 types of dragon blood that were stolen. The people of the Dragon Palace went crazy. This cauldron of pills was meant for the Dragon Crown Prince. Now that it was lost, they couldn't bear the consequences. Thus, they frantically searched for that monkey. They definitely wouldn't let him go. Divine Residence. The Crimson Dragon and the others were anxiously waiting. That fellow Little White had been gone for so long. Was there any problem? The Toad said. Don't worry, little guy. He might not be good at other things, but he's definitely good at finding treasures. Just as he was speaking, a white figure jumped onto his head. He's back! The Toad cried out in alarm. The Crimson Dragon waved his hand and a formation enveloped the residence. He said, How is it? Little White took down the treasure bowl and poured out the things inside, piling them up into a small mountain. Nalan Liang's eyes were wide open. Yuren was also so scared that his scalp went numb. When had he ever seen so many treasures? He reckoned that the rewards he received in 10 years weren't even this much. Little White picked up a few good-looking fruits and said, These are mine. You guys can split the rest. Little guy, you did well. The Toad's mouth was crooked from smiling. The Crimson Dragon and the other's eyes were also shining. These things were definitely a shocking amount of wealth. In particular, he found a pill furnace that was emitting smoke. After opening it, he found 9 pills, each of them sparkling and translucent. There seemed to be a dragon's shadow revolving around it. What a terrifying pill! Nalan Liang and the others were shocked. The Crimson Dragon's eyes also lit up. It was made from more than 10 types of dragon blood. It was a great supplement. Little White blinked his big eyes as if it was delicious. However, it looked too ugly. He looked at the beautiful spirit fruit in his hand and the radiant dragon core. It seemed to be very difficult to make a decision. At this time, the entire sky outside rang out. Roars rang out one after another. Terrifying souls hid the sky and covered the earth as they searched. The formation kept shaking. Nalan Liang's scalp went numb. What was going on outside? Yuren said. I'll go out and investigate. He walked out of the formation and quickly investigated. Soon, he returned with a pale face. The people of the Dragon Palace had gone crazy. The toad said. It must be because of this furnace of pills. Nalan Liang said. Why don't we hand it over? This pill looks extraordinary. If we really take it, the Dragon Palace will go crazy and attack us. The Crimson Dragon said. Don't be afraid. How can we hand over something that is already in our hands? Besides, do they have evidence? The Crimson Dragon took out 2 dragon cores. He said. These 2 are for Lin Brat. We'll quickly divide the rest. If they couldn't find evidence, then it would be slander. They were all dumbfounded. Nalan Liang and Yuren also said. Do we have a share too? The toad said. Of course. Everyone has a share in the divine abode. Boss, you'll be my big brothers forever! Nalan Liang exclaimed. Yuren was so emotional that he cried. I'll follow you forever. Next, Nalan Liang and the fishermen each received 1. The remaining ones were divided among the Crimson Dragon, the Toad, and Little White. 2 were left for Lin Xian. After these people swallowed, they felt as if a volcano was erupting in their bodies. It was as if their meridians were about to shatter. Damn it, what terrifying power! Roar, roar, roar! At the same time, endless dragon roars came from their bodies, resounding through the 9 heavens. Not good. The expressions of the toad and the others changed. They didn't expect the power of this pill to be above their imagination. The sound spread out in an instant. It was too late for them to use the formation to suppress it. So much so that everyone in the Tao sect heard it. It was as if 10,000 dragons were born. Damn it! When the people of the Dragon Palace heard this sound, their eyes instantly turned red. They rushed over. When they arrived at the divine abode and saw the terrifying dragon aura below, they all roared. The thing was here! Chapter 4789. Kill! They attacked. The array below rolled and released a terrifying force that forced them back. The people from Dragon Palace were shocked. This was impossible. This array formation was too terrifying. Who was the one who set it up? They were discovered. The Crimson Dragon's expression changed. In the next moment, they put away their treasures as if they were facing a great enemy. The people inside, listen up. Get the hell out here. How dare you steal the treasures of Dragon Palace? You must be tired of living. Exclamations of shock and anger could be heard. The other people in Taoist sect were also shocked. Who were these people? How dare they target Dragon Palace? Someone said that this was Baizhen's residence in the past, but it was taken away by Lin Xian and the rest. Was it Lin Xian and the rest? They were shocked. These people were too daring. What should they do? Nalan Liang and the rest were terrified. Should they teleport away first? No, the surroundings had been sealed. The Crimson Dragon frowned. He looked around and then flew into the sky. Through the formation, he looked outside. Why did you come to my residence? How dare you steal the treasures of Dragon Palace? Hand them over obediently and kneel on the ground. Otherwise, you are dead. What a joke! Which eye of yours saw me steal your treasures? Show me the evidence. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The dragon roar from before was the evidence. The Crimson Dragon laughed. Are you crazy? What kind of evidence is the dragon roar? Ben Wang is a dragon. Can't Ben Wang sing here? With that, the Crimson Dragon roared a few more times. The terrifying dragon roar shook the 9 heavens, causing everyone's blood to freeze. This guy's bloodline is so strong. The people from Taoist sect were shocked. Someone said, I think Dragon Palace made a mistake. That was indeed the dragon's roar. This dragon must have been cultivating some kind of secret technique. The people from Dragon Palace also looked cold. Are you trying to lie to us? Then we will search for you personally. They flew down and quickly attacked the array formation. The formation shook. Although it was set up by Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, its power was formidable. However, if these people from Dragon Palace continued to attack, it would not take long for it to be broken. After all, there were too many people from Dragon Palace. Damn it, what should I do? Nalan Liang gritted his teeth. The toad said. He was going to fight it out with them. However, Yuren stepped forward. Brother Long, Brother Toad, there was no need to fight with them. The Dao sect had its rules. He took a deep breath and shouted to the people from the Dragon Palace outside. According to the rules of the True Path sect, the residence was protected and no one was allowed to attack. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. Yuren had a nervous expression. Chapter 4790. Indeed, everyone nodded. However, Toad said that we don't have enough people. Although we are strong individually, we will be at a disadvantage if the other party attacks us one after another. Don't worry, I have already sent a message to Lin Xian. He said that he is on his way back. Is that kid coming back? They heaved a sigh of relief. They were clear about Lin Xian's strength. Now that he was back, there shouldn't be much danger on their side. At this moment, the array outside flickered again. Someone is coming. The Crimson Dragon frowned. Are the people from the Dragon Palace here again? A cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. However, when he saw the two figures outside, he was stunned. Who are they? Nalan Liang was puzzled. The Crimson Dragon smiled. They were Lin Xian's former sect mates and old friends. He waved his hand and the array opened. At the same time, he flew over. The two of you are here. Brother Dragon, it is indeed you. The two people who came were Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan. Previously, they didn't know that the Crimson Dragon and the others were also in the Dao sect. However, when the Dragon Palace besieged them previously, they were among the spectators and saw the Crimson Dragon through the array. They were shocked. Fu Hongye asked, Where is little Marshal Uncle? Is he here? On the way back, the Crimson Dragon waved his hand and said, It is good that you are here. This way, our three alliances will have another force. The two of them were on the same side. The Crimson Dragon quickly explained the situation. Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan nodded after hearing it. No problem. We will naturally stand on little Marshal Uncle's side. From now on, we are members of the Divine Union. All right, let's get ready to participate in the Stars List gathering. Dragon Palace, inside a spiritual mountain. A lady in blue waved her hand. Around her was an extremely terrifying ice domain. There were all sorts of snowy mountains and valleys that could freeze everything. A sage king would probably turn into an ice sculpture in an instant. Boom! Boom! Not only that, but the ice in the ice domain condensed into two ice dragons. They roared between heaven and earth, their terrifying aura shocking everyone. Ice Dragon Palm. With a strike of his palm, two ice dragons flew out. Wherever they passed, the world was sealed in ice. The blue-clothed woman retracted her palm and heaved a sigh of relief. The aura of the Tao of Dragon was indeed powerful. That strike wasn't any weaker than a peerless divine ability. Little sister, it seems like your strength has increased again. Lan Jilu walked over and said with a smile. You can shine brightly in this Stars List gathering. Lan Jiu nodded. She said, This time, I have the confidence to fight for the top 10. Her beautiful eyes sparkled as she asked, Brother, do you think Lin Xian will come? Lan Jiu's eyes flashed with a cold light when he mentioned the other party. That coward had not appeared for a few times already. Lan Jilu had said that regardless of whether he would come or not, the people around him would definitely die. Brother, he's here. Let me do it myself. I'll let him know the difference between us. Don't worry, I'll leave him to you, Lan Jilu said faintly. He was very confident in his sister. In another part of the forest, a dreamlike man walked out. There were many demonic beasts around him that had collapsed, their auras gone. In the distance, some Tao sect disciples saw this scene and felt their scalps go numb. This person's soul was so terrifying. Who was he? He should have entered the Tao sect with Fairy Jiyu. He was called Dream Eater Wolf. After he came, he was even more low-key than Lin Xian. It was as if he had never appeared before. Who would have thought that he would be so terrifying? I feel that he can enter the top 30 of the stars list. This stars list gathering is really lively. Fairy Jiyu's strength has increased greatly. I'm afraid that she will be even more terrifying. Now, another Dream Eater Wolf has appeared. Also, Lin Xian's friends are all very terrifying. I wonder what the final outcome will be. Some people exclaimed while others sneered. Don't worry, no matter how strong they are not a match for the Dragon Palace. At this moment, many people were rushing to the Tao sect. Lin Xian and Yan Ryu were among them. The speed of the two of them was not fast. Because they did not care. Instead, they were very calm, as if they were playing. This was also Yan Ryu's first time in the Holy Abyss ancient city. Lin Xian had been to a few relics of the sages before. Therefore, he was leading Yan Ryu to experience the laws of the sages. At this moment, the sound of fighting came from the forest ahead. Lin Xian looked down and saw a purple demon bull roaring at the sky. A terrifying murderous aura swept in all directions. It was fighting with a man. The sword in his hand was like an agile snake that attacked continuously. He retreated as he fought. Although he was at a disadvantage, he was still at ease. People of the Tao sect? Looking at the clothes and totems on these people, Lin Xian squinted his eyes. However, that was not what he was concerned about. What he was concerned about was the purple demon bull. Something was wrong. It seemed to be controlled. What's wrong? Yenryu said as she looked down in shock. Someone had taken control of this demonic beast and even changed its soul. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect Yenryu to notice it instantly. He also nodded. Indeed, he did not know which soul expert it was. This soul change was very subtle. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Therefore, he was prepared to investigate. The two landed and flew forward. A few figures below saw this scene and were shocked. Someone was coming, and they were heading towards the purple thunder demon bull. Did they not want to live? Although this purple thunder demon bull was only a middle saint king, it was a strange beast of heaven and earth. It was very terrifying and had infinite strength. The man who used the spirit snake sword technique snorted. Quickly dodge. Do you not want to live? However, he found that Lin Xian and Yan Ryu did not seem to care. They directly approached the purple thunder demon bull. The purple thunder demon bull roared. Its eyes bloomed. Terrifying lightning stared at Lin Xian and Yan Ryu. Seeing this, the spirit sword man snorted. He threw out a scroll. The terrifying laws on it exploded. Only then did he stop the purple thunder demon bull. In the next moment, he came beside the two and said, Do you two really not want to live? In order to save you, I wasted one of my treasures. Lin Xian turned his head and sighed. He did not need the other party. However, since the other party had made a move, he nodded. Thank you for your kindness. If you know, then quickly retreat. This guy is very powerful. He saw that Lin Xian was also a middle saint king, so he reminded him. However, at this time, the purple thunder demon bull was slightly injured because of the power of the scroll. It roared to the sky. Lightning continuously condensed on its body. Then, his body expanded to a height of 1,000 feet. In its hand, lightning condensed, forming a giant axe. It slashed towards Lin Xian and the others. Not good. The youth's expression changed drastically, but Lin Xian and Yan Ryu's expressions remained calm. Lin Xian wanted to attack, but at this time, he was stunned and looked to the side. Chapter 4791. A figure streaked across the sky like a bolt of lightning, splitting everything in its path. The purple thunder demonic bull's huge body was split in half and fell to the ground. The earth split open and blood flowed in all directions. Was it dead? The spirit snake youth was stunned. Then he smiled. Great, it was his senior brother. He turned his head and saw a man in a white robe walking in the air towards him. It was him. He looked at Lin Xian and said, "Young man, sometimes you have to know when to advance and when to retreat. With your strength, it's hard to fight against this demonic bull. So the next time you meet such a demonic beast, try to escape." In his opinion, the only reason Lin Xian and the others were able to survive this time was because he had intervened. Otherwise, they would have died without a doubt. Lin Xian said, "I just felt that this lightning bull was a little strange, so I wanted to investigate it." He was telling the truth. However, the other party shook his head and sneered. He really didn't know what was good for him. The spirit snake youth said, "Looking at your clothes, you must be from the Dao sect." "We are too. This is my senior brother He Yanxiao. He is ranked 3rd in the Dao sect." He Yanxiao also looked at Lin Xian. "You're also from the Dao sect?" Lin Xian nodded. "Yes, I just joined the Dao sect." He Yanxiao understood. "So it's a new disciple. Forget it, you're lucky to have met me. There are a few demonic beasts here that are not weaker than this lightning bull. If you go alone, it will be very dangerous. Follow me." After saying this, he looked ahead. Actually, he wasn't looking at Lin Xian, but Yan Ryu. Yan Ryu's jade-like beauty shocked even him. He asked, "I wonder who this fairy is?" "I'm his friend," Yan Ryu said indifferently, not paying much attention to him. He Yanxiao was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian, a middle-stage Saint King, to have such a beautiful friend. However, he didn't care about the other party's cold attitude. Maybe she came from somewhere else and hadn't seen many geniuses. He believed that as long as he displayed some strength, the other party would fall in love with him. "Let's go. He Yanxiao will lead the way." The spirit snake youth also walked over and said, "How was it? That one-hit sure kill move just now, isn't it powerful? That's my senior brother's ultimate technique." White crane palm. "Are you shocked?" Lin Xian said, not paying much attention. Indeed, he didn't pay attention to He Yanxiao. Although He Yanxiao was ranked 3rd on the stars ranking, he didn't put him in his eyes at all. He was curious from the beginning. Who changed the soul of this demonic bull? Didn't care? That young man was stunned. Then he said, "You said you didn't see it clearly, right? With your cultivation, how could you have seen it clearly? You can't keep up with my speed." Finally, he said, "You're going to watch the stars list gathering this time, right? At that time, you will see my senior brother shine again. Up ahead." He Yanxiao also smiled. This time, he had the confidence to fight for first place. Therefore, when the time came for him to display his powerful strength, this beautiful woman would come to his side. Seeing the two of them so proud, Lin Xian found it funny. Beside him, Yan Ryu also shook her head slightly. They were indeed people from 2 different worlds. However, they were in the sky while the other party was on the ground. Lin Xian didn't say anything. After all, he was going to return to the Dao sect. It wasn't a bad idea to let the other party lead the way. It would save him a lot of trouble. At this moment, the Dao sect was completely bustling. The experts on the stars list had all returned. There were also some who were training outside. This time, they were going to compete. Stars list. They were going to be famous. Near the ancient arena, there were many spectator stands. Some places were even condensed by the laws, forming pavilions and palaces. Some floated in the clouds, while others stood on the ground. The people sitting here were all extraordinary. The top 10 on the stars list each had their own palace. As the 3rd on the stars list, He Yanxiao naturally had his own palace. At this moment, he led Lin Xian and the others into the palace. Some Dao sect disciples surrounded them. Apart from that, there were also some battle servants and maids. These were all He Yanxiao's subordinates. As the new third on the stars list, He Yunxiao also opened his own palace. At this moment, these subordinates were serving tea and water. The spirit snake youth looked at Lin Xian. The two of them said, "Take a seat." Suddenly, he realized that the two of them had already sat down. They didn't seem to be nervous at all. These two guys were really weird. However, they probably didn't know what was going to happen. Although Lin Xian was a Tao sect disciple, he had just joined the sect not long ago. He probably didn't even know what the stars list was. When his senior brother revealed his identity, this guy would probably be scared silly. He couldn't wait to see the shocked expressions of Lin Xian and He Yunxiao. Thinking of this, the spirit snake youth ran over and asked, "Senior brother, we have a chance to fight for the top spot this time, right?" He Yunxiao said, "Yes. This time, I'm stronger than before." However, he didn't know how many experts would appear this time. The spirit snake youth said, "I heard that Fairy Zheyu is very powerful. She will definitely be able to enter the top 10 this time. She might even be able to enter the top 5. I'm afraid that when she grows up, she will be able to dominate the world." He Yunxiao nodded. Fairy Zheyu was indeed very talented. It wouldn't be a problem for her to enter the top 5. However, to dominate the world? I'm afraid not. Right now, your eyes are only on the Tao sect. Other than the Tao sect, there are 2 other orthodoxies. There's even the scarier glory list. That's where the real experts compete. Countless great sages yearn to be there. If you can enter the glory list, even if it's the last place, you will be able to dominate the world. So powerful! The spirit snake youth and the rest were stunned. They didn't know that Lin Xian, who they looked down on, was the 3,000th person on the glory list. If they knew, they would probably be scared silly. Someone was coming. Suddenly, He Yunxiao raised his head and looked outside. A group of people walked in majestically from the outside. Their auras were extremely majestic. Many people stepped aside. It was the people from the Dragon Palace. The spirit snake youth also looked over and exclaimed. Fairy Zheyu was among them. At this moment, Lan Zheyu had dressed up meticulously. She looked like an ice goddess. The cold aura around her frightened many people. Fairy Zheyu! Outside, many disciples of the Tao sect had already started shouting and becoming her followers. They couldn't help it. Fairy Zheyu was extremely beautiful and talented. A fairy like her would naturally be pursued by countless people. He Yunxiao raised his head and looked over. His eyes were burning with passion. However, he then looked at Yen Ryu. He thought to himself, Fairy Zheyu is also a genius. However, compared to this woman in white, she's still lacking. Moreover, this woman in white was obviously inexperienced. Hence, he felt that he had a higher chance of winning Yen Ryu. Thinking of this, he decided to perform well later. Chapter 4792. Not only Lan Jiu, but many experts from the Dragon Palace had also come. Even Lan Zilla had come personally. He had occupied the best palace and led everyone to their seats. Many people exclaimed. He Yunxiao's pupils constricted. Did Lan Jiu come personally? He didn't care about Lan Jiu and thought that Lan Jiu was weaker than him, but he was terrified of Lan Zilu. Lan Jiu was ranked 24th on the Jade list. His strength was terrifying. If Lan Zilu wanted to kill him, he could kill him in one move. How could he not be terrified of such a person? However, this was a gathering of the stars list. Lan Jiu was here to hold the fort, and wouldn't make a move. The only person he had to pay attention to was Bu Pingfan, who was ranked first on the new list. That person was unfathomable. He had fought with Bu Pingfan a few times and had lost. However, he would definitely win this time. The Dragon Palace was indeed the most terrifying force in the Taoist sect. Their appearance made the surrounding people fearful and envious. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon and the others had also arrived. They looked ahead and snorted. Why are you so arrogant? Sooner or later, we will trample you under our feet. Lu Yuan, who was beside him, asked, Is Junior Uncle here? the Crimson Dragon said. He should be here. Lin Xian hadn't met up with them, so they weren't sure. However, they knew that Lin Xian wouldn't miss this opportunity. Suddenly, they frowned because they felt a sharp gaze from the Dragon Palace shrouding them. It was filled with killing intent. The people around the Crimson Dragon immediately made way. A vacuum appeared in the originally crowded area. Who are these people? How did they offend the Dragon Palace? Don't you know? He is Lin Xian's friend. What? These are Lin Xian's friends? Where is Lin Xian? Is he here? Countless people were surprised. So, the Dragon Palace was dealing with this group of people. In the palace, Longyu stood up and looked ahead. She saw the Crimson Dragon, Toad, and two unfamiliar men. However, she didn't see Lin Xian. She frowned and asked coldly, "Where is Lin Xian? Did he not appear?" The Toad snorted coldly. "Even without him, I can teach you a lesson." The Crimson Dragon sneered. "You want him to appear? Let's see if the Dragon Palace has the ability." "How arrogant!" The people of Dragon Palace gnashed their teeth. Someone snorted coldly. "I think he's a coward. He doesn't dare to come at all." The others were also discussing spiritedly. They had never seen Lin Xian fight before, except for the fact that he was ranked first in the test. After coming in, they never heard anything about him again. In their opinion, the other party had either run out of ideas or used despicable means to enter. He did not have much strength at all. "All right, there's no need to talk nonsense with them. Let's begin," Lon Zilla said indifferently from behind. He sat there like a supreme emperor, controlling everything. The people of Dragon Palace nodded. A man walked out and said loudly, "Today, all the masters on the stars list of Dragon Palace are gathered together. It was all for the sake of holding a grand event." At the same time, he also felt that there were many geniuses who had become Dao sect disciples. Was the stars ranking going to be updated? Many people were in an uproar when they heard that. They wondered what kind of exciting battle would happen next. As for the rules, everyone should be clear about it. Dao sect's rules state that no killing is allowed. All right, who would like to come up and challenge first? Many people's eyes lit up when they heard that. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. Some of the masters had been training hard so that they could be ranked on the stars list and become famous. At this moment, someone stood up. "I'll do it." This person's body carried extremely terrifying lightning. He challenged the 92nd person on the stars list right away. The two of them fought fiercely, and the lightning man actually succeeded. This made the atmosphere even more heated. In an instant, many people came out to challenge the new masters on the stars list. Two figures stood on a mountain peak far away. They were Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei. They looked at the battle in front of them, and their eyes lit up. Although they were not interested in such a battle, they were very concerned about it. Although these people were weaker than them, they were all top-notch masters and geniuses in the outside world. It was enough to show how terrifying the three main orthodoxies were. The Dao sect was extraordinary. Qing Feng said that the Dragon Palace was terrifying. They had the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince had the ancient desolate body and was extremely terrifying. The Dragon Prince was even more terrifying. The Emperor's son! The only one who could compete with him was Kun Pingzi. It seemed like the Princess of the Phoenix territory would have to fight with them. As an Emperor's race, the Phoenix Ridge also had a princess. Now that the princess had awakened, her strength might not be weaker than Kun Pingzi and the Dragon Prince. It was just that she did not come to Saint Distant Ancient City to cultivate. Bai Li Fei said. Although the Sky Rock clan is not an Emperor's race, this time, the number one in the Sky Rock clan could definitely compete with the Emperor's son. He might even be able to slay a dragon. He had absolute confidence in his clan's number one genius. His opponent was much stronger than him. He might even become a great emperor. In the third palace, Lin Xian looked at the scene outside and nodded slightly. His eyes lit up as he watched every battle seriously. Although these people were not as strong as him, each of them had their own merits. Lin Xian wanted to play to their strengths and avoid their weaknesses. He would not underestimate anyone in the world. The spirit snake youth beside him shook his head when he saw Lin Xian watching so seriously. He was indeed a newcomer. Such a scene had already shocked him. If his senior brother fought later, he would be scared to tears. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen battles had passed. Some people challenged experts on the star's ranking and succeeded, becoming famous. Some people were seriously injured and would not be able to recover in a few months. At this moment, Lan Jiu stood up from the Dragon Palace. She felt that there was no need to wait any longer. It was time to start. Lan Jiu's figure flashed, and she came to the arena. Countless people exclaimed, "Look, it's Fairy Jiu. Is Fairy Jiu going to fight? Go Fairy Jiu! Fairy Jiu, you can definitely make it to the top 10 this time." Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Lan Jiu looked at the person and said, "Go down. You are not my opponent." That person left the arena obediently. Lan Jiu looked around and said coldly, "Who wants to challenge me?" She looked around and no one dared to respond. "Then I will challenge you personally." She was currently ranked 29th. She looked at the person ranked 20th and said, "Come and fight." The person ranked 20th was also a woman. She was dressed in red and her body was covered in flames. She turned into a flaming vermilion bird. She flew between heaven and earth. Her terrifying aura made people despair. Lan Jiu looked at her opponent and did not care. Her lips curled up into a smile. She said, "You should admit defeat because you are not my match." Chapter 4793. Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar. The woman in red was no ordinary person. She was ranked 20th. How terrifying was she? The woman in red snorted coldly. "Lan Jiu, don't you think you're too arrogant? I want to see how strong you are to make me admit defeat." With that, she rushed over. Terrifying flames shot out of her palms, turning into a vermilion bird that danced in the air. Lan Jiu snorted and threw out 3 palms, freezing the entire world. The vermilion bird's flames and the woman in red were all frozen. The crowd was stunned. Was it over? In just 3 moves, Lan Jiu had won. This method was too terrifying. Some people exclaimed. Fairy Jiu's strength had indeed increased by leaps and bounds. She had a chance to enter the top 10. Too powerful. As expected of my goddess. In the ice, the woman in red used all her strength to say, "I admit defeat." Lan Jiu waved his hand and the ice melted. The woman in red landed on the ground, her face pale. Her internal organs had all been severely injured. She looked at her opponent with a terrified expression. It had only been a year. How did he become so powerful? Lan Jiu didn't forget about her and continued to challenge her. "Come on," ranked 15th. Instantly, the battle erupted again. Countless people were shocked. In the third hall, the spiritual snake youth also clenched his fists. "Senior brother, Fairy Jiu is too powerful. How did her strength increase so quickly in a year? When can I reach her level?" He Yanxiao said. She was Lan Jiu's younger brother, and a genius of the Blue Clan. Plus, she entered the Dragon Palace and cultivated the aura of the Tao of Dragon. How could she be slow? But compared to me, she's still lacking. I can defeat her in 10 moves. He Yanxiao's eyes were filled with confidence. Then, he glanced at Yenryu, hoping to attract her attention. But he found that Yenryu didn't care at all. Instead, she was chatting and laughing with Lin Xian. This made He Yanxiao's eyes turn cold. Damn it! He couldn't wait any longer. In front, the battle continued. The person ranked 15th lost. Then, Lan Jiu challenged the person ranked 9th. They exchanged 300 moves. Lan Jiu won. At this moment, her face was somewhat pale and she was also injured, but she had finally succeeded in entering the top 10. Lan Jiu's lips curled into a smile. He had achieved his goal this time. Countless people cried out in surprise, frantically shouting Lan Jiu's name. This was because they knew that Lan Ziyu had created a miracle and directly charged into the top 10 of the stars ranking in just over a year's time. There were very few of them in history. In the future, his achievements would be limitless. He would definitely be able to enter the Xian ranking. Those from the Dragon Palace were also excited. Lan Ziyu nodded his head in satisfaction. Said Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei on a mountain peak in the distance. They were all geniuses from the Blue Clan. From the looks of it, her talent wasn't any worse than Lan Ziyu's. In the future, she would be the second Lan Ziyu. The two of them nodded and commented. They didn't seem too surprised. Because in their opinion, such a genius was very good, but he was still unable to compete with them. In the arena, Lan Ziyu looked down after achieving her goal. She stared at Crimson Dragon and the others and asked coldly. I'll ask again, is Lin Xian not here yet? There's no need for Lin Xian. I can teach you a lesson. The toad jumped out. Crimson Dragon also said, Do you think you're very powerful? You're only ranked 9th. We don't care about you. Indeed, the two of them hadn't used their full strength in the previous battle. At this moment, they were ready to attack. However, Lan Ziyu snorted coldly. You're not worthy for me to attack. She didn't care about a mere toad. The only person she wanted to challenge was Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian didn't appear. She could only say, Humph, coward. From now on, he's not worthy to be my opponent. Countless people were in an uproar as they discussed. This Lin Xian was definitely a coward. On a mountain peak in the distance, Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei frowned when they heard the name Lin Xian. Qing's taste wasn't good. She actually chose such a man. Bai Li Fei sneered. After this, he would definitely find that Lin Xian. He was trash. It would be better to just kill him. Qing Feng nodded. He's just an ant. On the stage, Lan Ziyu didn't attack the toad and Crimson Dragon. Instead, she looked at the people closer to her. She wanted to continue challenging them. In the third palace, Yenryu looked at this scene and smiled. He seems to be challenging you. Aren't you going to go out? Lin Xian shook his head. He's too weak. I'm not interested. Hearing this, Nimble Snake was stunned. Too weak? This guy dared to say that Fairy Ziyu was weak? Did he have eyes? He and Xiao frowned. How arrogant. However, when he saw Yenryu's expression, he couldn't believe it. Damn it, a peerless fairy was tricked by a brat. He couldn't accept it. He wanted to go out and prove his strength. He wanted to let Yenryu know that he was the real expert. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but stand up and walk out. Nimble Snake was excited. Great, his senior brother was going to fight. He looked at Lin Xian proudly. Just you wait. I'll show you my senior brother's strength. I'll show you what a peerless expert is. After he and Xiao went out, he walked into the arena and said, Fairy Ziyu, you must be tired after so many challenges. Why don't you go down and take a rest? Next, leave the arena to me. Countless people exclaimed. It was He Yunxiao, who was ranked 3rd. Was he going to fight too? Everyone was excited. He was a godlike existence in their eyes. Lan Ziyu frowned. Ranked 3rd? That gave her a lot of pressure. However, she was proud. How could she go down so easily? She said, If you want me to go down, let's see who's stronger. The ice energy on her body became even more terrifying. It swept forward. If that's the case, then I'll offend you. He and Xiao shouted. His body swayed and he dashed out like lightning. Although he knew that defeating Lan Ziyu would offend Dragon Palace, he couldn't wait any longer. He wanted to prove himself in front of Yenryu. In front of him, everything was frozen. However, He Yunxiao was nowhere to be seen. So fast! The surrounding people were shocked. Their eyes couldn't catch a trace of He Yunxiao. In the next moment, He Yunxiao came behind Lan Ziyu and struck out with his palm. Lan Ziyu felt her hair stand on end. It was so fast that she couldn't react. When she turned around and wanted to fight back, it was too late. This palm strike sent her flying. The void shattered. Lan Ziyu's body landed outside the arena. Her blood was boiling and her face was pale. Was she defeated? Countless people exclaimed. They didn't expect that Ziyu, who was so powerful, couldn't block He Yanxiao's palm. The gap between them was too big. Chapter 4794. Damn it! Lan Ziyu gritted her teeth and wanted to charge forward. Lan Zilu said, "Stop, sister. You're not his opponent." "I know." Lan Ziyu gritted her teeth. Although she was ranked 9th, there was still a gap between her and the top 3. But she didn't care. She had just entered the sect for a year, and was already able to achieve such results. She was definitely the genius with the fastest improvement. Her future was limitless. The stars list was only her current ranking. Her final goal was the Xian list. Only by getting on that list could she be proud of the sect. In the third hall, the nimble snake youth clapped happily. He looked at Lin Xian and Lan Ziyu proudly and said, "See? My senior brother is very strong. Even Fairy Ziyu couldn't block his palm. This time, he will definitely get first place on the stars list." "Not bad," Lin Xian said calmly. To be honest, he didn't care. The nimble snake youth gritted his teeth. "Not bad? Brat, do you know what an expert is?" On second thought, Lin Xian probably didn't know how strong his senior brother was. "Alright, let's see if you still dare to be arrogant when my senior brother gets first place. At that time, you'll probably faint from fright." Lan Ziyu retreated to recover. Lan Zilu said coldly, "He dared to defeat my sister. I have to teach him a lesson. Chong Lu, you go." At the command, a tall man from Dragon Palace walked up and came to the arena in a few steps. At the same time, he brought along a terrifying force. The spectators were in an uproar. Wang Zhongluo, ranked 2nd on the stars list. This was going to be a good show. It was going to be a fierce battle. One was ranked 2nd and the other was ranked 3rd. Their strengths were on par. He Yunxiao narrowed his eyes. "Wang Zhongluo? Alright. I wanted to challenge Buping Fan directly. But I'll defeat you first. Then I'll challenge the first place on the stars list." "It's useless," Wang Zhongluo snorted. "You're not my opponent." As he spoke, he threw a punch. On the other side, He Yunxiao also charged forward. The two of them were fighting fiercely. Countless people widened their eyes. This was a rare fight between top experts. Gasps of surprise could be heard one after another. Even Lan Ziyu kept nodding her head because she realized that these two people were indeed stronger than her. She did not lose unjustly. Inside the 3rd palace, Spirit Snake stood up excitedly and said, "Did you see that? My senior brother is so powerful." Lin Xian glanced over and shook his head. He was going to lose this round. Lost? Everyone in the palace was stunned. Spirit Snake was furious as well. "Kid, what do you know? Can you see my senior brother's figure clearly? Do you know how powerful my senior brother is? You don't know anything, yet you dare to say that my senior brother lost. Just you wait. Senior brother is going to win. Let's see how he will punish you." The Spirit Snake teenager gritted his teeth and observed again. The battle ahead was extremely horrifying. He Yunxiao was a member of the Crane tribe and his speed was extremely fast. His white crane divine palm could split open heaven and earth. However, Wang Zhongluo was even more terrifying. He was like a demonic god, suppressing heaven and earth. Every punch was like a demonic mountain that swept across the world. Both sides fought for 300 moves and were evenly matched. However, He Yunxiao's face was extremely ugly. He originally thought that his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. He thought that he would be able to defeat his opponent in 100 moves. However, he did not have the upper hand at all. This gave him a bad feeling. It seemed that he had underestimated his opponent. His strength had improved by leaps and bounds, but so had his opponent. How strong was Buping Fan, who was ranked 1st now? He did not dare to imagine. At this moment, Wang Zhonglo grinned. Alright, I'm not interested in fighting with you anymore. Let's end this in one move. But a palm. He slapped out a palm that covered heaven and earth. The entire void was shattered. This was Wang Zhonglo's ultimate skill. Countless people exclaimed. Who could compete with this ultimate skill? Oh no, that He Yunxiao is in danger. He Yunxiao felt immense pressure. He did not dare to be careless and also used his ultimate skill. White Crane Divine Palm. The two palms collided, and it was as if thousands of thunderbolts had struck. The void in the entire arena turned into chaos. Everyone tensed up when they saw a figure retreating and landing directly below the arena. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Who was it? Everyone looked over and exclaimed. He Yunxiao! He was defeated! He Yunxiao was actually defeated! Countless people were shocked. Previously, He Yunxiao had shown great strength. Everyone thought that he would definitely be able to compete for first place this time. However, he could not even defeat Wang Zhonglo, who was ranked second, let alone Bu Pingfan, who was ranked first. How could it be? In the third palace, Ling Shi was stunned as if he had been petrified. His senior brother was defeated? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was within his expectations because he had already analyzed the situation of the battle. The people of Dragon Palace were smiling proudly. How could the experts of Dragon Palace be defeated by the opponent? How could it be? I was defeated! He Yunxiao gritted his teeth in disbelief. Had all his efforts over the years been in vain? Wang Zhongla looked at He Yunxiao and said, Your strength has improved greatly. Unfortunately, after I joined Dragon Palace, my strength improved much faster than yours. Your strength is not bad. Why don't you join Dragon Palace? Humph! He Yunxiao snorted. Dragon Palace might be a good choice, but he had to think about it carefully. I lost this battle. My skills are not as good as his. He Yunxiao gritted his teeth, cupped his fists, and returned to his palace to treat his injuries. Senior brother, are you all right? When Ling Shi and the others saw this, they quickly supported He Yunxiao. It's nothing. I failed this time. Young master must have been careless. Young master, if you were serious, you would not have lost this time. The battle servants said quickly. The Spirit Snake Youth also said that his senior brother's defeat was definitely because of that guy. That guy was cursing senior brother. He said that you would be defeated from the beginning. When He Yunxiao heard this, he turned to look at Lin Xian. His opponent said that he would be defeated from the beginning? A cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian said indifferently. I'm not talking about a curse. It's the truth. Your strength is weaker than his. Moreover, you were so arrogant from the beginning. It's normal for you to lose. Kid, what did you say? Ling Shi was furious. He Yunxiao's face darkened. Are you criticizing me? What right do you have to criticize me? Because I'm stronger than you. Lin Xian stood up, looked at the two and said indifferently. In your eyes, Wang Zhonglo is invincible. But in my eyes, he's like an ant. I can suppress it with a wave of my hand. Am I qualified? Chapter 4795. The people in the hall were all dumbfounded. Wang Zhonglo was an ant? He could easily suppress him? What a joke! Spirit Snake jumped to his feet. He Yunxiao's face also turned cold. He felt that Lin Xian was too reckless. Kid, what's the point of saying that here? Go and say it in front of Wang Zhonglo. I think he can kill you with one slap. That's right, you're the ant. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth, the Spirit Snake Youth clamored. Lin Xian glanced at the two of them and said, So what if I say it in front of him? After saying that, Lin Xian walked outside. He Yunxiao was stunned. He thought that Lin Xian was just being arrogant in front of him, but he did not expect that. He actually dared to do that. Is that guy an idiot? Do you think you can survive in the challenge competition just because you can't kill someone? He deserves to be seriously injured and crippled. I want to see how that kid will die. He Yunxiao sneered. Even though he had lost, he was still third. He could do whatever he wanted on the star's leaderboard. If that kid dies, doesn't that mean that the white fairy will be mine? Thinking of that, he looked at Yen Ryu. He was looking forward to Lin Xian going out to die. Outside, in the arena, Wang Zhongyang stood there and laughed loudly. Third place? You can't even withstand a single blow? Who dares to fight me? At that moment, he was extremely domineering. Countless people exclaimed. Other than Bu Pingfan, who was ranked first, no one else could suppress him. Dragon Palace is indeed powerful. Look, someone's coming out. At that moment, someone exclaimed. They saw another figure walk out of the third hall. Is he Yunxiao unwilling to give up and wants to challenge him again? The people from Dragon Palace sneered. Even if he challenged Wang Zhongyang 10,000 times, he would not succeed. However, when they saw that figure, they were all stunned. Because they realized that it was not He Yunxiao, but an unfamiliar young man. Who is that? Discussions broke out one after another. The people from Dragon Palace were also stunned. Lan Ziyu's pupils constricted. She stood up and exclaimed. It's that kid. He actually came out. What does he want? Does he want to challenge Wang Zhonglo? What kind of joke was this? After all, Wang Zhonglo was much more powerful than He Yunxiao. He Yunxiao only needed one strike to defeat her. In other words, if Wang Zhonglo wanted to defeat him, it would only be a matter of one palm. If she didn't dare to challenge such a person, would the other party dare to? What a joke. The other party couldn't even defeat her, yet he wanted to challenge Wang Zhonglo. He didn't know what death was. Brother, let me go up, I want to suppress him with my own hands. Lan Ziyu wanted to attack. However, Lan Zilla stopped her. Little sister, no need. Let Demon Lord make a move. It's best if he can cripple this kid. A sharp look appeared in Lan Lujia's eyes. It wasn't just Lin Xian. They wanted to suppress everyone related to Lin Xian. This was the consequence of challenging the Dragon Palace. Here it comes! In the crowd, Crimson Dragon and the others smiled when they saw Lin Xian. Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan clenched their fists. It was their little martial uncle. They were worried that little Uncle Master would be alright, right? They had seen how terrifying Wang Zhonglo was before. Toad said, Don't worry, there won't be a problem. Wang Zhonglo is dead meat. Hearing this, the surrounding people went crazy. They looked at Toad and exclaimed. Someone actually thought that Wang Zhonglo would lose. Did water get into his brain? Wang Zhonglo looked at Lin Xian's figure and sneered. Brat, do you think you can challenge me? You didn't even make it into the stars list. An ant-like existence doesn't have the right to challenge me. Get lost! He shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder. The surrounding people laughed. The people from the Dragon Palace snorted. Indeed, in their eyes, Lin Xian was no different from an ant. He Yunxiao, Spirit Snake, and the others sneered. However, Lin Xian didn't care. He walked to the arena calmly and looked at his opponent. You're the second on the stars list, right? In other words, you're the strongest in the Dragon Palace. However, in my eyes, you're just SOSO. In my eyes, you're no different from an ant. If I want to suppress you, I only need one hand. Lin Xian's voice wasn't loud, but it spread clearly in the surroundings. At this moment, everyone was stunned. The entire place was silent. In the palace, Spirit Snake's eyes almost popped out. He Yunxiao also gasped. Damn, he really dared to say that. That's Wang Zhonglo, someone even more terrifying than me. Isn't he afraid of being killed with a slap? Kid, what did you say? Are you courting death? Wang Zhonglo took a step forward. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. The surrounding people felt their hair stand on end. They felt like their souls were about to split open. At the back, Lan Ziyu sneered. Is this guy an idiot? Lan Ziyu snorted. He's indeed trash. He deserves to die. Facing the terrifying killing intent, Lin Xian didn't care. He said indifferently, Make your move. Use your strongest attack. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. This kid is too arrogant. Everyone felt like they were going crazy. Where did this unfamiliar young man get the confidence to challenge Wang Zhonglo? Tell me your name. I won't kill nameless people. Listen carefully. My name is Lin Xian. Lin Xian? The surrounding people were stunned. Then, they exclaimed. Isn't this the guy who came in first in the test a year ago? Isn't he a coward? It was said that he disappeared after he came. Who would have thought that he would appear now? Countless people were in an uproar. This guy must be out of his mind. Does he really think that this is a test? What a joke. Wang Zhonglo could kill him with one finger. Everyone sneered and shook their heads. Over the past year, the people of the Dragon Palace had been saying that Lin Xian was a coward. They even thought that Lin Xian didn't have much strength. On the mountain peak far away, Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei were stunned. Lin Xian? This was the person they were looking for. How could he be so reckless? I want to see what such an idiot looks like. Their eyes lit up as they looked over. To be honest, after the battle between Wang Zhonglo and He Yunxiao, they were no longer interested. The top experts on the stars list were only SOSO. They could kill them with one slap. Hence, they didn't pay attention to him. When Lin Xian appeared, they couldn't be bothered with him. They felt that he was like a fly. Now that they took a closer look, in the next moment their bodies shook. Bai Li Fei was dumbfounded. His eyes were about to fall out. Damn it! Why is it him? Qing Feng also sucked in a breath of cold air. Impossible, he was Lin Xian? The two of them recognized that the young man in front of them was the mysterious man in the Spirit Void Valley. He was the person who had defeated Bai Li Fei. Qing Feng also thought that she wasn't his match. They were very curious about the mysterious young man and wanted to know who he was. However, they couldn't find any clues about him. Who would have thought that they would meet him again? Moreover, he was the person they were looking for. Lin Xian. Chapter 4796. It wasn't the first time they had heard of this name. They had come to the ancient city for him. However, they had never seen him before. The rumors about Lin Xian were that he was a coward. They thought that they didn't like him. They even mocked Murong Qingqing for having bad taste. However, they realized that they were wrong. It wasn't Murong Qingqing who had bad taste, but them. It wasn't Lin Xian who was an idiot, but them. Damn it, how could it be this kid? Bai Li Fei gritted his teeth. He felt that his pride had been crushed by Lin Xian. He had been defeated by Lin Xian twice. Qing Feng also couldn't believe it. To be honest, she didn't know Lin Xian's identity when she first met Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's temperament and strength had convinced her and made her fall in love with him. However, she couldn't accept it when she found out that Lin Xian was Lin Xian. For a moment, both of them were stunned. At the front, Wang Zhonglo was similarly stunned. The next moment, he sneered. I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be a coward. Since it's you, I don't mind sending you to hell. Since Lin Xian had challenged the Dragon Palace, he would suppress him now. He wanted to let everyone know the consequences of challenging the Dragon Palace. As he thought about this, the nomological laws on Wang Zhonglo's body started to converge on his fist. This punch could destroy heaven and earth. Nothing could stop it. Feeling this power, everyone was in despair. They knew that the kid in front of them was dead meat. Even if this punch couldn't kill Lin Xian, it could seriously injure him. It wouldn't be a problem for him to be bedridden for a few hundred years. This was the fate of an idiot. He Yunxiao and the others sneered and shook their heads. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian smiled. Given your strength, to be able to gather energy to such an extent is truly not easy. However, let me show you what true power is. He stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. There was a divine flame dancing on it. How dare an ant fight with me? Go to hell. Wang Zhonglo's fist, which was covered in demonic flames, rushed over. But a fist, demon god strike. A peerless fist technique, a peerless killing move. Everyone was shocked. This Wang Zhonglo already had the qualifications to ascend the Jade role. Sure enough, the eyes of some of the experts on the Jade list lit up and they frowned. The Dragon Palace had produced a talent. Too weak. Let me show you what a real fist technique is. Lin Xian's fist also flew out. Everyone was disdainful, but when they saw the punch, they were all stunned. That punch was like a sun descending into the mortal world. Monstrous divine flames swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt like they were about to melt. What kind of flame was this? How could it be so terrifying? Everyone retreated in fear. Although there was a defensive array in the ancient arena, it could not block the flames. How could this be? People from Dragon Palace exclaimed. Lan Ziyu's scalp went numb. Even though they were so far apart, and she was an ice attribute martial artist, she could still feel it. The ice continued to shatter. If she got any closer, wouldn't she be reduced to ashes? The third palace. The spirit snake youth was so scared that he knelt on the ground. He Xiao's scalp was also numb. Was this the ant he looked down on? This punch was enough to kill him. Perhaps Wang Zhonglo was just an ant in his opponent's eyes. Wang Zhonglo could not believe it. Feeling the heat, endless cracks appeared on his body, and blood dyed his body red. How could this be? So strong! Moreover, he could not resist. At this moment, his opponent gave him the feeling of a god, an existence he could not defeat. He knew that he was wrong. Everyone was wrong. The other party was not a coward. The other party was a genuine expert. And he was extremely low-key, only showing his fangs now. No! Block it from me! He roared with all his might. He channeled his power to the extreme, and even the precepts on his body burned. No matter what, he had to block this attack. But could he block it? With one punch, his divine demon strike was shattered. His arm was broken and turned into a bloody mist. His body kept cracking and turning into countless pieces. Was he going to die? Wang Zhonglo's face was filled with despair. It was the first time he experienced the feeling of death. Boom boom. At this moment, the apocalyptic crisis shrouded him. Then, it turned into a huge palm and slammed him to the ground. Wang Zhongyang was defeated with one blow. The entire scene was silent, and everyone felt like they were dreaming. They could not believe it. Wang Zhonglo was so terrifying. He was ranked second on the stars ranking. But he was slapped to the ground like a fly. Was he dead? The people from Dragon Palace became nervous. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and snorted. If it were not for the rules of Path Sect, you would be a dead man now. However, with this punch of mine, you can forget about standing up for 100 years. Lin Xian did not kill him because Path Sect had rules. Unless it was a battle of life and death. However, he did not care. Wang Zhonglo was like an ant in his eyes. There was no difference whether he was dead or alive. He wanted to shock him. Today, he was here to slap Dragon Palace's face. Unable to stand up for 100 years. This was no different from crippling Wang Zhonglo. The gap between geniuses could be a world of difference in 1 year, let alone 100 years. After 100 years, how high would these people stand? Wang Zhonglo was completely crippled. Pfft. Wang Zhonglo's face was filled with despair. He spat out blood and fainted. At this moment, Lin Xian looked around and asked calmly, "Who dares to fight with me?" Everyone lowered their heads. What a joke. They could not even take a blow from Wang Zhonglo, let alone the others. Even Bu Pingfan, who was ranked first, was no match for him. How could this be? How could he be so strong? The people from Dragon Palace were in despair. Lan Ziyu's body was trembling. She looked down on Lin Xian and thought he was a coward. Now, she felt like she had been slapped in the face. Lin Xian was looking down on her. She was probably no different from an ant in his eyes. She was proud of being ranked 9th on the stars ranking. But now, she was in despair. So what if she was ranked 9th? The expert ranked second could not even take a blow from Lin Xian. If she went up, she would definitely die. In the third palace, the young man from Spirit Snake fainted. What kind of person did he offend? He Yunxiao was also trembling, and his face was filled with fear. No wonder Lin Xian dared to say such words. Lin Xian had the strength to do so. He dared to have designs on Lin Xian's woman? Wasn't he courting death? Fortunately, he did not show too much, or he would definitely be dead. Thinking of this, his scalp went numb. From today onwards, he could never offend this terrifying existence. That's great. Well done! Toad, Crimson Dragon, and the rest cheered. Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan were stupefied. Their junior martial uncle had already become so terrifying? Chapter 4797. On the mountain peak, Bai Li Fei gritted his teeth. Damn it, it was indeed this guy. The other party's strength was unfathomable. Wang Zhonglo was carried down, and the people from Dragon Palace looked gloomy. Lan Jilu said coldly, "Aren't you a little too ruthless? It was just a challenge. Why did you have to injure him so severely? Why do you think I'm ruthless? How did the Dragon Palace treat me during the test? More than a dozen hunters tried to kill me. At that time, you were trying to kill me. If it wasn't for the rules of Dao sect, he would be a dead man now." Lin Xian's cold voice was heard, and the surrounding people were in an uproar. There was actually such a thing. Most of them didn't know what happened at the test ground, and they were shocked when they heard it. No wonder this person wanted to challenge Dragon Palace. He was almost killed by Dragon Palace. Are you sure you want to be enemies with Dragon Palace? Lan Jilu walked up, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. No one had ever dared to go against Dragon Palace, no matter how strong the genius was. Why, you're not convinced? If you're not convinced, you can make a move. Even if it's you, I can suppress you with one palm. The surrounding people were going crazy. After defeating Wang Zhonglo, this guy wanted to challenge Lan Jilu again? The people from Dragon Palace shouted angrily. Lan Ziyu even stood up and said, "Kid, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I admit that you're very strong. You defeated Wang Zhonglo and can even become number 1 on the stars ranking. But so what? My brother is an expert on the Jade ranking, and he's ranked 24. Do you know the difference between the stars ranking and the Jade ranking? Anyone in the top 30 of the Jade ranking can suppress the number 1 on the stars ranking with one hand. What qualifications do you have to challenge my brother?" The surrounding people were also discussing spiritedly. Indeed, there were 2 rankings. One was in the sky while the other was on the ground. It was difficult for the people on the stars ranking to compete with the people on the Jade ranking, let alone the one ranked 24. How would a frog at the bottom of a well know my strength? Lin Xian glanced at him and shook his head slightly. Lan Ziyu was mad. Was he looking down on him? Damn it! Lan Jilu also laughed. "So you're challenging me?" Lin Xian shook his head. "You're wrong. I'm not challenging you, but suppressing you. You're not qualified to be my opponent." This guy was too arrogant. Countless people were shocked. He Yunxiao's pupils shrank. He felt that the other party was a little too arrogant. If Lan Zilu really attacked, this Lin Xian would most likely be dead for sure. Everyone was once again worried about Lin Xian. On a mountain peak far away, Bai Li Fei snorted coldly. What do a bunch of ants know? Forget about Lan Zilu, even the number 1 on the Jade list was also unable to hurt this brat at all. This was because his opponent possessed the battle prowess of a great sage. "Just you wait, that Lan Zilu will definitely die," Bai Li Fei snorted coldly. In the arena, Lin Xian stared at Lan Zilu. He said, "You were the one in charge of the test, weren't you? You allowed your subordinates to try and kill me. Today, it's time to settle the score. How do you want to calculate it? Call your companions over. I will suppress you all by myself." Lan Zilu sneered. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "You think too much. There's no need to go through so much trouble to deal with you. Let's have a battle of life and death. After this battle, only one person could survive. Countless people were in an uproar, feeling as if they had gone crazy. A battle of life and death. Did this guy really not want to live anymore? The people from the Dragon Palace were also stunned. Lon Zilla sneered coldly. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. He was really furious. He admitted that the other party was strong, but compared to him, there was still a huge gap. Today, he would take advantage of this opportunity to kill this potential enemy. After all, the other party's talent was too strong. If he was given 10 years, he might really be able to threaten him. Since he had decided, let's sign the life and death contract. Lin Xian had already heard about the battle of life and death from Yuren. Naturally, he knew what to do. He bit his finger, and used his blood to write the life and death contract in the air. The battle of life and death was up to fate. No one was allowed to interfere. I will fulfill your wish. Lan Zilu also walked out. He also wrote the life and death contract. 2 life and death contracts were imprinted in the air. Countless people gasped. A battle of life and death was about to begin. The 2 life and death contracts quickly merged and flew into the sky. In the third palace, He Yunxiao looked at the scene and felt his scalp go numb. The battle of life and death had already begun. It was impossible to escape. The nimble snake youth had fainted from fright. Now that he had regained consciousness, he fainted once again when he saw Lin Xian about to engage in a battle of life and death. Lan Zilu walked up and snorted. Originally, I wanted to give you a few moves. But since this is a battle of life and death, I won't be merciful. Show me all your powerful trump cards. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't even be able to block a single move from me. As his voice fell, an icy aura surged from his body. It was extremely terrifying. It formed a few ice dragons that bared their fangs and claws. The 7 ice dragons seemed to have been resurrected. Previously, Lan Jiu was able to form 2 ice dragons and was already ranked 9th. Lan Zilla's strength was much stronger than Lan Jiu's. In fact, no one on the star's ranking could compare to him. Take my ultimate move, 7 killing ice dragon fist. Lan Zilla raised his fist high and pushed it forward. Endless ice laws and 7 ice dragons roared between heaven and earth as they charged forward with this punch. It's over. It's a sure kill. This was Lan Zilla's ultimate move. It seemed like he wasn't going to hold back. The people from Dragon Palace sneered. This kid is an idiot. How dare he offend senior brother Lu? Let's see how he'll die. More people sighed. Lin Xian was a top-notch genius. If he was given 10 years, he would have grown to a terrifying extent. However, Lin Xian was too arrogant. They were afraid that he would fall today. Even Nailan Liang, Lu Yuan, Fu Hongye, and the rest were nervous. Lin Xian shook his head slightly when he sensed the attack. Is this the best you can do? You've really disappointed me. It's much worse than I expected. Your attack isn't even worthy of me taking action. I can destroy it with a look. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently. There was a golden radiance flickering in his eyes. What was this guy saying? Did he know how terrifying this punch was? Could it be that he was scared silly? The people from Dragon Palace laughed heartily. This kid knew that he was going to die, so he gave up resisting? Lan Zilu snorted coldly. His strongest attack was weak? What a joke. When Lin Xian went to hell, he would know what despair was. Thinking of this, the power in his body became even more terrifying. The punch arrived in front of Lin Xian. There was a golden radiance condensing in Lin Xian's eyes. Reincarnation lightning. Buzz. With a glance, it could see through everything. Lan Zilu's pupils shrank. In the next moment, he felt an extremely terrifying soul energy entering his mind. Then, it tore his soul into pieces. Chapter 4798. The storm between heaven and earth was still dancing, but the punch had stopped. It was less than a meter in front of Lin Xian. What's going on? Everyone was stunned. Why did it stop here? Could it be that an accident had occurred? The people from Dragon Palace snorted. What accident could there be? Senior brother must have wanted to suppress him first before torturing him to death. Lan Ziu's lips curled up into a smile. Her brother was much more powerful than the other party. There would definitely be no problem. But soon, the smile on her face froze. Everyone was stunned. Some were even dumbfounded. In the arena in front, the light in Lan Zila's eyes disappeared and turned gray. His body landed on the ground. With a plop, the ground shook. The 7 ice dragons turned into ice and snow and dissipated. God, what's going on? Everyone was stunned. He Yunxiao was stunned too. He secretly probed with his soul. Then, he roared in horror and knelt on the ground. Dead? He felt that Lan Zila's soul aura had disappeared without a trace. There was no sign of life. He was going crazy. Dead? That's impossible. The others were discussing and probing. Then, they roared in shock. God, I can't feel any signs of life. His soul has disappeared. Who can tell me what the hell is going on? The people from Dragon Palace went crazy. They rushed forward and probed carefully. Their bodies swayed and some even spat out blood. Some even fainted. How is that possible? Senior brother Zilu is really dead. At that moment, everyone's mind went blank. They couldn't imagine that someone could kill Lan Zilu with a look. On the mountain peak in the distance, Bai Li Fei snorted when he saw this. A bunch of idiots. How could Lan Zilu be Lin Xian's opponent? One had to know that even he had been defeated twice by his opponent. This little martial uncle was too terrifying. Lu Yuan and Hong Yi were both stunned. What level has Lin Xian reached? They looked at the Crimson Dragon. The Crimson Dragon said, I don't know either. He's unfathomable. These people are no match for him. No, brother! Lan Jiu rushed over like a madman and threw himself at Lan Zila's side. She had gone crazy. She had never thought that her brother, whom she was so proud of, would actually die. Moreover, he was killed by a single glance. She was on the verge of collapse. Damn it, it's you! I'll kill you! She roared angrily and sent out 2 ice dragons to attack Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood there without dodging at all. When the 2 ice dragons hit his body, they were directly burned to ashes by the 9 yang divine fire. The rebounding force also sent Lan Jiu flying, his entire arm turning into a bloody mist. How could this be? Lan Jiu was horrified. Her full-powered attack couldn't even break through the opponent's defense? The difference was too great. The others were also terrified. They all looked up to Lin Xian. He was simply a godlike existence. It was laughable that they had previously thought that Lin Xian was a coward. Now, they understood that Lin Xian was just too disdainful to make a move. Most likely, there weren't many people on the Jade list who could make this fellow take action. Could it be that this guy was going to directly enter the Profound Board? Countless people went crazy. Previously, Lan Jiu had reached the Profound Board in a year. The 9th on the stars ranking was already shocking enough. However, Lin Xian now had the combat strength of the Profound Board, and he had also reached the Profound Board in a year. This was simply heaven-defying. In the history of the Path sect, there were probably no more than 3 people with such combat strength. One of them was the Dragon Prince. Could this guy have the talent of an emperor? Countless people exclaimed. It seemed that the Path sect would not be too peaceful in the future. With such a heaven-defying powerhouse, and an enemy of the Dragon Palace, they could imagine how many battles would break out in the future. Damn it, this guy killed Senior Brother Zilu. Kill him and avenge Senior Brother. The people of the Dragon Palace went crazy. In an instant, many people charged towards Lin Xian. Behind them, the Crimson Dragon roared. Do you think we don't exist? He rushed out and waved his dragon claws. At the same time, he slashed forward with his dragon saber. The toad also jumped out. Poison them to death. He shot out poison that filled the sky. Nalan Liang, Yurin, Fu Hongye, and Lu Yuan also attacked. They stood beside Lin Xian and fought in all directions. Lin Xian did not attack. He stood with his hands behind his back. Everyone was shocked. If Lin Xian did not attack, the Dragon Palace would not be a match at all. However, they soon realized that they were wrong. Other than Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad could definitely sweep through everything. Even Nalan Liang Yurin and the two newcomers were on par with the Dragon Palace. Damn it, how was this possible? Were the people around Lin Xian all monsters? Lan Ziyu flew over again and attacked Lin Xian. In the end, he was sent flying by the Crimson Dragon's saber. His body was almost split in half. Was she crazy? She couldn't even defeat a single dragon? Haha, I said I would teach you a lesson. Now, have a taste of my power. The toad also flew over. Divine Toad Fist. In the end, Lan Ziyu vomited blood again. Everyone was going crazy. The goddess in their eyes was being beaten up by a toad. Lan Ziyu even had the heart to die. She was ranked 9th. She had her pride. What a joke. She felt that she was pitifully weak. She was no different from a worm. At this moment, Lin Xian coldly snorted. A pair of golden eyes appeared between heaven and earth, looking down at everyone. The people from the Dragon Palace felt their souls burning. They screamed and knelt on the ground. They struggled frantically. It was too terrifying. Chapter 4799. The voice that came from the 9 heavens was abnormally terrifying, causing the surrounding people's blood to churn and their bodies to crack. Their scalps went numb. Who was it? It was too terrifying. The toad and the others also looked up. Lin Xian also frowned. He could feel a powerful force descending. An expert had arrived. A figure descended from the 9 heavens. He was tall and sturdy, surrounded by dragon chi that turned into 9 true dragons. Below his feet were tens of thousands of streams of dragon blood, as if the dragon god had been resurrected. Was it the Dragon Prince? The toad gritted his teeth. Lin Xian also frowned. But soon, he realized that it wasn't the Dragon Prince. He had seen the Dragon Prince during the coronation, but the person in front of him was different. But even if it wasn't the Dragon Prince, it was still an extremely terrifying existence in the Dragon Clan. The people of the Dragon Palace also struggled to stand up. Seeing the figure descending, hope returned to their eyes. Crown Prince, please help. Crown Prince, he's too arrogant. Not only did he injure us, but he also killed senior brother Zilu. Crown Prince, you must suppress him. Tear him into pieces. Roars came one after another. The surrounding people also exclaimed. He was the Dragon Prince of the Dragon Palace. Who was the Dragon Prince? Lin Xian frowned. He only knew of the Dragon Prince. Why was there another Dragon Prince? Yurin said. The Dragon Prince was the son of the great emperor. He had been sleeping for countless years and had just woken up. And this Dragon Prince was the son of the Dragon Sea Lord. He was a genius of the current era. Lin Xian understood. This Dragon Prince was equivalent to the top geniuses of the Light and Yi Wudao. Perhaps the Dragon Clan's bloodline was also very terrifying. The Crimson Dragon also gritted his teeth. The Dragon Sea Prince? I've heard of him. Dragon Sea also had the Dragon Clan. The Black Sea naturally heard of them and even had dealings with them, but they had never seen him before. Now, it was the first time they saw him. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. The Dragon Sea Prince, Long Ao, also turned his head and stared at the Crimson Dragon. His pupils shrank. The other party's dragon blood didn't seem to be weaker than his. Who was this person? Then, he snorted and said loudly, No matter who you are, you will die if you dare to challenge the Dragon Palace. Now, kneel on the ground obediently and wait for our orders. Just you? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. His roar shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Countless people were terrified. Only now did they realize that they had underestimated this dragon. This guy's dragon blood seems to be weaker than the Dragon Crown Prince. What kind of divine being was this? The Dragon Prince snorted coldly. You want to compete with me in terms of bloodline? He took a step forward. The 9 true dragons roared together. Their dragon blood clashed between heaven and earth, and everyone felt as if their souls were about to be destroyed. It was too scary. The Dragon Clan was indeed a legendary divine beast clan. Just the power of their bloodline alone was enough to make everyone despair. At this time, Lin Xian walked out and looked ahead. Dragon Prince, right? It seems that other than Long Wu, you have the final say in the Dragon Palace. Alright, I'll inform you now. I'm about to open up my Divine Palace. From now on, the place where my Divine Palace is, your Dragon Palace will disappear. Do you understand? The surrounding people went crazy. Is this guy going to continue being arrogant? This time, he challenged the Dragon Crown Prince. This Dragon Crown Prince was completely different from Lan Zilu. Both of them were worlds apart in terms of status and strength. The Dragon Crown Prince was ranked first on the Jade board. He had the top bloodline of the Dragon Clan and was extremely powerful. Although he was ranked first on the Jade board, it was said that his strength was enough to enter the Xian board. However, he was unwilling to go. Such a person's strength was extremely terrifying. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, it was impossible for him to compete with the Dragon Crown Prince. Kid, do you want to die? Long Ao snorted and stared coldly at Lin Xian. The sky was filled with killing intent and dragon blood. He wanted to use his bloodline power to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body burned with divine fire. He was like a god of war, blocking all the power outside. He said coldly, "If it was Long Wu, it might be possible. But with just you? You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Get lost." Kid, I didn't expect such an arrogant person like you to come out from the True Path sect. I want to see if you can block one of my attacks. Long Ao roared. He stretched out a finger, and the 9 dragons coiled around his body pointed out. Although it was just a casual attack, it had the power to destroy heaven and earth. At this moment, all the experts present felt their blood run cold. Even some of the experts on the Xian board kept retreating. Too powerful. Lin Xian was unfathomable. It's over. This kid is dead for sure. He Yunxiao closed his eyes. This time, there would be no more accidents. Lan Ziyu revealed a sinister smile. Alright, she wanted to see Lin Xian fall with her own eyes. The others were in an uproar. They felt that Lin Xian was unwise to challenge the Dragon Crown Prince now. Fight with me? Alright, I'll give it a try. How strong is the Dragon Crown Prince? Lin Xian snorted when he felt the power of the dragon blood in his opponent's body. Behind him, the image of a dragon also appeared. It was a sword dragon. It stood facing the sky, and the scales on its body transformed into divine swords. They pierced through the clouds. Lin Xian raised his right hand and shouted. The sword came. The sword dragon behind him roared, and the dragon's scales soared on its body, soared into the sky and fell into Lin Xian's hand. With a clang, Lin Xian slashed forward with his sword. It collided with the 9 dragon fingers. Thousands of lightning bolts fell, and the entire void was completely shattered. At this moment, it was like the end of the world. The 9 dragons roared. Everyone's blood was boiling, and the weaker ones had already vomited blood. Even the experts' faces were pale. The 9 dragons and 1 finger were enough to destroy everything. However, under this sword, it suddenly cracked. Lin Xian's sword was biting cold. It was like lightning, and with one slash, the 9 dragon fingers were shattered. The whole world was split into 2. Impossible. Countless people were shocked. The people of the Dragon Palace widened their eyes. This sword turned into an eternal memory in their hearts. After one sword, the Dragon Crown Prince's figure was split into 2. Not only that, the earth spread into the distance, forming a huge canyon with no end in sight. The power of one sword was terrifying. Was he dead? The Dragon Crown Prince was dead, someone exclaimed. He Yunxiao suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the broken body in front of him in disbelief. How was this possible? In his knowledge, the Dragon Crown Prince was a godlike existence. With the stomp of the other party's foot, countless experts would fall. But now, he was killed by a sword? Lan Jiyu knelt on the ground, her body trembling. Her face was full of despair. Even someone as strong as the Dragon Crown Prince couldn't block a sword? The toad laughed. What Dragon Crown Prince? An ant-like existence. How dare he compete with us? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Our divine abode will rise, and the Dragon Palace will be destroyed. Chapter 4800. This scene shocked countless people. Is the Dragon Prince really dead? On a distant mountain peak, Bai Li Fei also frowned. The Dragon Prince underestimated his opponent too much. Qing Feng said. It's an avatar. Bai Li Fei was stunned. Then he said, no wonder. I don't think he's that weak. However, an avatar was different from a clone. It was very difficult to form an avatar. Now that he had destroyed an avatar, his heart must be bleeding. Qing Feng also said that he underestimated his opponent. The two of them were talking about what was ahead. Lin Xian frowned. So it's just an avatar. He looked at the sky and said coldly, a mere avatar dares to fight against me? Wait until your real body comes. The toad sighed. The Crimson Dragon also snorted. It would be too easy for this guy to die like this. Don't worry, we'll play with him slowly in the future. The others also exclaimed. So it's an avatar. However, it was much stronger than a clone. The avatar was equivalent to the opponent coming in person. Even so, it was still killed. Moreover, the Dragon Prince must have been injured by the destruction of his avatar. This Lin Xian is really terrifying. His real combat strength is definitely not weaker than the Dragon Prince. He has only been here for a year, and he already has such power. Could it be that his target is the Dragon Prince? He could very well become the second Dragon Prince. The people of the Dragon Palace also heaved a sigh of relief. The Dragon Prince is not dead. However, they still gritted their teeth. The person in front of them is a peerless enemy. The Dragon Palace will be in trouble in the future. Leave quickly. The people of the Dragon Palace have lost a lot of face this time. A star's ranking genius was crippled, Lan Jilu was killed, and even the avatar of the Dragon Prince was killed. They will probably become a laughing stock. Therefore, they were too ashamed to stay here. The group hurriedly packed up and fled in panic. Ha 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 ha, get lost. The toad laughed behind them. Lin Xian led the group back to the third palace. In the third palace, the spirit snake youth woke up again. When he saw Lin Xian return, he immediately prostrated himself on the ground and begged for mercy. He Yunxiao also said respectfully, previously, I had eyes but failed to see. I didn't know how strong young master was. I hope young master can give me a way out. There was nothing he could do. Although he was also a proud genius, in front of Lin Xian, he had no choice but to lower his head. Lin Xian didn't care about this at all. These two people were like air to him. He looked at Yen Ryu, smiled, and said, how is it? Are you tired from sitting? Yen Ryu stood up with a smile after watching a wonderful performance. The people outside were also preparing to leave, but at this moment, a roar came from afar. Amidst the endless changes in the wind and clouds, a powerful figure charged over. There was still blood on this person's body. It was obvious that he was injured. After he arrived, he roared angrily. Despicable ant, you dare to kill my incarnation? I'm going to send you to the 9 layers of hell. Everyone's blood froze. Had the Dragon Prince come in person? Could it be that a great war was about to break out? Countless people stopped and looked up at the sky. Inside the palace, He Yunxiao and the others nearly fainted from fright. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. He strode out and said coldly, "Why? Do you want to be killed by my sword? And with just you?" He roared, and with a stomp of his feet, thousands of dragons roared, and the sky fell and the earth cracked. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Wasn't your incarnation killed by my sword? How much stronger can your incarnation be? It's easy to kill you." Lin Xian's words completely angered the Dragon Prince. Long Ao rushed down. "Then come, I'll suppress you." Killing intent surged from his body. At the same time, he held a dragon hammer in his hand. The terrifying aura made countless people's scalps go numb. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Lin Xian took a step forward, and his body also emitted a terrifying killing intent. There was a terrifying dragon shadow sword chi circling around him. Countless people were shocked. Is there really going to be a battle? Even Qing Feng and Bai Li Fei in the distance became nervous. The Dragon Prince's true body wasn't weaker than them. In fact, he was even stronger. Long Ao, stop. At this moment, a voice rang out. "Who dares to stop me?" Long Ao roared and turned his head to look. In the next moment, he was stunned. He saw a woman in a snow-white robe standing beside Lin Xian like the goddess of the 9 heavens. "Who are you?" He frowned. He felt that the other party was unfathomable and mysterious. The woman in white said, "I'm Yen Ryu. I told you to stop." "Who is this woman? How dare she speak to the Dragon Prince like this?" The surrounding people were shocked. Even He Yunxiao was stunned. Could it be that this woman has a great background? Previously, he only thought that Lin Xian was powerful. But now, it seemed that wasn't the case. This was the first time they had heard of this name, but when this name fell into the Dragon Prince's ears, it was like thunder. Long Ao's pupils constricted. "It's you." Although he had never seen her before, he had heard of the name Yen Ryu. When he came out to train, his father had told him that there were some people that he couldn't provoke. Among those names, one of them was Yen Ryu. He didn't know her true identity, but it was said that she was not weaker than the Emperor, so he couldn't provoke her. He didn't expect that she would appear here and stand beside Lin Xian. It really made him gnash his teeth. Although he really wanted to make a move, his father's warning kept echoing in his mind. He snorted coldly. "Kid, you're very lucky. This time, I'll give face to the fairy. But the next time we meet, I'll personally send you to hell. You're the one who's lucky." Lin Xian also sneered. "I'll let you live for a while longer." "Damn it, just you wait!" Long Ao shouted coldly. He rushed into the sky and disappeared. Is he going to leave just like that? Countless people were shocked and looked at Yen Ryu. Who is this woman? She can scare the Dragon Prince away with just a few words? He Yunxiao fell to the ground with a plop. How dare I have such thoughts about such a person? He's too reckless. Thinking of this, he wished he could find a hole to hide in. That woman and Lin Xian were listed as existences that he couldn't provoke in his life. In the future, he would respect them as if they were gods. Lin Xian looked around and said loudly again. The spiritual abode had been opened, and he looked forward to all the powerhouses and geniuses joining. The spiritual abode will definitely not treat you unfairly. After saying that, he led Yen Ryu, the Crimson Dragon, and the others into the sky and returned to the spiritual abode. Both sides left, but the matter didn't calm down. Instead, it quickly spread. For a moment, the entire Path sect was incomparably shocked. Everyone was talking about this battle, especially about Lin Xian's 3 shocking moves. The people on the star list were stunned. They could only look up to such a person. The people on the Jade list felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian and the others couldn't fight against him. However, the people around Lin Xian made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. Even the people on the Xian list personally came out to investigate. It wouldn't be long before such a person challenged the Xian list. Chapter 4801. After returning, Lin Xian, Lu Yuan, and Hong Ye had a good gathering. After all, they hadn't seen each other for a long time. A small banquet was held in the divine abode. Lin Xian and the others took out supreme-grade spirit fruits and spirit wine. The Crimson Dragon even went out to hunt a few demon sages and came back to make barbecue. Good wine, good food, and peerless fairies. Yenryu sat there like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world. She was beautiful. There was a smile on her lips as she quietly watched Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was talking with Fu Hongye and the others. How long have you been out? Where are the others? Are they still in the Xiantian pavilion? Fu Hongye said that the two of us came out to train first. We haven't been to the Xiantian pavilion for a long time. However, we agreed that when we were strong enough, we would leave the Xiantian pavilion to train. It's about time. They should have set off too. By the way, Uncle Master, is there any news about Master? Fu Hongye asked. Lin Xian said that there was no news for the time being. However, with the laws that senior brother had grasped, he could protect himself. That was indeed the case. Unparalleled Sage King cultivated the law of devouring and inherited it from Lord Alcohol. Ordinary Sage Kings were no match for him. He probably had a fortuitous encounter and had grown to an unknown extent. Lin Xian believed that there would be a day when they would meet again. Next, everyone discussed some matters regarding the divine abode. Lin Xian planned to let Lu Yuan, Fu Hongye, and the others run it. He was mainly in charge of cultivation to fight against the Dragon Prince, and even the Dragon Prince in the future. The Crimson Dragon and the others were in charge of the challenge. Nalan Liang Yuran and the others would also fight with all their might. Although there weren't many people now, they believed that the divine abode would definitely grow into a towering tree in the future. They would even trample everything under their feet. The divine abode was filled with joy, but the atmosphere in the Dragon Palace was oppressive. Everyone's scalps were numb. They didn't dare to speak. There were two figures in front of them. One was the crippled Wang Zhonglo, and the other was the fallen Lan Zilu. This was something that had never happened since the establishment of the Dragon Palace. More importantly, there was a crazy roar coming from the palace in the valley ahead. That voice made everyone feel as if their bodies were about to split open. They knew that the Dragon Crown Prince was angry. There were a few crystal dragon palaces in the valley. They were magnificent. However, cracks had appeared on them. Even the void in the valley was shattering into nothingness. The Dragon Prince stood in the crack and roared towards the sky. He was really mad. In his opinion, other than the Dragon Prince, he was not afraid of anyone. Even the experts on the Xian ranking didn't dare to challenge or offend him. But now, a person who had just joined the True Path sect a year ago had slapped Dragon Palace in the face and killed his incarnation. He even had Yenryu's help. He couldn't do anything. He was about to go mad with anger. He swore that one day, he would personally capture the other party and let him know what despair was. Not only did the news spread widely among the disciples, even the elders were alarmed. The place where the elders were at was the core area of the Tao sect. At this moment, several elders were playing chess. A red-clothed elder said that he heard that an incredible little fellow had appeared recently. He had even killed Long Ao's clone. Looks like he's also a heaven-defying genius. Another elder put down a chess piece. He wore a black robe and smiled faintly. Now, martial Dao is flourishing. Our Dao sect has produced talented people. A green-clothed elder who was watching the game said. However, this person's talent was only on par with Long Ao. He was still a little lacking compared to Long Wui. The future of our Dao sect still depends on Long Wui. As soon as he said that, the other elders nodded. Indeed, an emperor's son was enough to suppress everything. The red-clothed elder smiled. With Long Wui as the leader, together with the Dragon Prince and Lin Xian, they could form a powerful young team. They had a chance to surpass the others. Don't underestimate others. Kunping Zi is very strong. I heard that the other two orthodoxies had also recruited many amazing people. For example, the Yi family's sacred body. And the ancient desolate body of the other ancient families. Those people were all very talented. This is a world of great competition, the black-clothed elder said. I heard that in Taiching ancient city, after the recovery of the Purple Mansion, the geniuses from thousands of years ago also revived. There were even experts from tens of thousands of years ago who appeared. It was said that it was related to the opportunity to become an immortal. No one knew if it really appeared this time. Hearing this, the elders all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were burning with passion, and they began to discuss again. On the other side, Qing Feng and Bai Lifei came to the outside of the divine mansion again. They wanted to see Lin Xian. In the end, they were directly rejected. Their faces were ugly. Bai Lifei gritted his teeth. Damn brat, why are you so arrogant? Although he lost to Lin Xian, so what? This time, the one who favored Murong Qingqing was the most powerful genius of the heavenly Ping clan. He was comparable to an emperor's son. It would be a piece of cake for him to defeat his opponent. Just wait, you'll regret it. Bai Lifei gritted his teeth and left. Qing Feng also snorted coldly. She had never been rejected before. Their faces darkened as they left. Lin Xian didn't care at all. He looked at Yan Ryu in the mansion and said, Are you leaving? It's about time. I have to go back. Don't worry, we'll meet again if fate wills it. I'll be in the Demon Emperor Mountain. I also know that you're in the Dao sect. I'll let you know if there's anything. Okay, take care. Lin Xian nodded. After that, Yan Ryu left, and so did Lin Xian. After absorbing the Khanate spirit fire, his strength had increased again. He was preparing to go to the Sacred Abyss Tower to cultivate again. But before he left, Naylan Liang and the others came back to talk about something, so they had to start accepting missions. If they didn't take the initiative to accept, they would be assigned a mission by the Dao sect. Lin Xian said, Okay, you do as you see fit. Let me know when you've chosen a mission. With that, he left and went to the Sacred Abyss Tower. There weren't many people in the Sacred Abyss Tower, but every one of them was a peerless expert. At this moment, the discussion about Mad God gradually died down. First of all, they had investigated everything but didn't find any clues. Secondly, after Mad God reached the 3000th rank, he didn't make any more moves. Therefore, everyone thought that he wouldn't be able to increase his ranking in a short period of time. Therefore, the discussion died down. However, there were still a few people talking about him. When Lin Xian entered the main hall, he heard two people talking next to him. They were guessing who Mad God was. Lin Xian smiled. These people probably wouldn't have thought that the famous Mad God had walked past them. Not long after Lin Xian entered the Sacred Abyss Tower to cultivate, a cry of surprise came from the main hall. Look, there's a change in the honor roll. And it's a huge change! Countless people exclaimed and looked over. Someone had reached the 2300th rank. Who was it? Was it Mad God? Chapter 4802. The change in the Glory leaderboard made them want to go. They realized that it wasn't Mad God, but Six Paths. They were familiar with this name. He was ranked around 2500 before, and now his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. This Six Paths must be a great sage from the Six Paths Gate. He was a very young great sage. This person was very strong and might become a sacred leader in the future. Many people were talking about him. Someone said, Look, his ranking is still changing. Is he trying to get to the top 2000? Countless people were shocked. On the 40th floor, a man used the Six Paths Divine Fist and fought in all directions. Around him, the sky shook. There were 6 shadows around him, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. His fists were unstoppable. Finally, he successfully reached the 40th floor. On the 41st floor, he was defeated and ranked 2000. The scattered cultivator of Six Paths smiled. This was beyond his expectations. He was very happy to be ranked 2000. He walked out proudly. When he came to the main hall, he saw countless people looking at him with admiration and exclaiming, Six Paths was very satisfied. He didn't leave immediately. Instead, he asked for a cultivation room in the main hall to recover. At the same time, on the 31st floor, Lin Xian's figure appeared. This was where he left last time. Now, he wanted to fight again. Lin Xian was stronger than before, so he quickly broke through. 31st floor, 32nd floor, 33rd floor. The higher he went, the more shocked he was. One had to know. In the past, Lin Xian would break through 10 floors at a time, but now, he was breaking through 1 floor at a time. His speed was very slow. He didn't know how terrifying the top few floors were. Even so, his speed was enough to shock everyone. Outside, countless people in the main hall were shocked. Look, the leaderboard is changing again. What? That's impossible. Another expert has appeared? Who is it? They all looked over. Then, they exclaimed, Mad God, it's that mad god again! How did his ranking rise so quickly? He was breaking through to the 40th floor. Oh my God, how long has it been since the last time? This guy can improve so much. Did he improve by leaps and bounds recently? Or did he hide his strength last time? No one knew. But this kind of rapid change in the rankings was really shocking. It was even faster than when the 6 Paths loose cultivator broke through. He was already in the 2,300th position. Was he going to aim for the 2,000th position? It was too unbelievable. Look, he's now ranked 2,001st. Countless people became nervous. Then, their eyes widened as they realized that Mad God's ranking had finally risen to the 2,000th place. 6 Paths, who was originally in the top 2,000, was pushed down. He became number 2001. This Mad God was simply too heaven-defying. They all knew how powerful the 6 Paths loose cultivator was. After all, he practiced the 6 Paths fist and had a terrifying physique. But even so, he was still squeezed out by the Mad God. They were getting more and more curious. Who exactly was this Mad God? The 40th floor. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he heaved a sigh of relief. This time, he was under a lot of pressure, especially from the 40th floor onwards. Lin Xian did not continue. He had already seen that his ranking had risen by 1,000, which was enough for now. This time, he would be able to exchange for even more resources. If he took out these resources, even a great sage would be jealous. But for Lin Xian, it was only enough for him to maintain his normal cultivation. Both the 9-yang divine body and the great dragon sword soul required too much. If he could not obtain so many resources, his cultivation speed would be greatly reduced. But fortunately, with the existence of the Sacred Gulf Tower and some cultivation resources from the True Path sect, Lin Xian could handle it for now. After collecting all the resources, Lin Xian left. There was a huge difference between the 2,000th place and the 2,000th place. Every 1,000th place was a gradient. Lin Xian's 2,000th place was the beginning of a gradient, so he received an additional reward. He could use his identity token to exchange for the reward at the Sacred Origin Tower. Sure enough, he exchanged for a generous reward. Ancient Movement Technique, Skywalk Step. After cultivating it to greater mastery, one's speed would be extremely fast. Lin Xian was surprised. This was good stuff. After deactivating the Skywalk Step, Lin Xian arrived at the main hall. At this moment, countless people in the main hall had gone crazy and were discussing everywhere. They all felt that the Mad God was definitely a great sage, and an extremely terrifying one at that. So, when Lin Xian's young face appeared, they all ignored him. It was impossible for him to be a young man. Lin Xian shrugged. Well, let these people guess. It would save him some trouble. He used Saint Crystals to exchange for a cultivation room and began to recover while cultivating the Skywalk Step. At the same time, in another cultivation room, the 6 Paths itinerant cultivator opened his eyes and stood up. He had finished recovering and was about to go out to exchange for a reward. He was ranked 2,000th, so he could exchange for a special reward. He wondered what it would be. He was looking forward to it. After coming out, he frowned slightly because he realized that the people in the main hall were very crazy and were shouting something. Was it because of the change in his ranking? The Six Paths itinerant cultivator was pleased. But when he listened, he realized that they were not shouting for him, but for the mad god. Who was the mad god? The Six Paths itinerant cultivator frowned. He felt that the mad god could not be compared to him at all. A bunch of ignorant people. He sneered and went to the Holy Gulf Tower to exchange for a reward. But when he arrived, he found that the reward had already been claimed. How is that possible? The Six Paths itinerant cultivator exclaimed. I didn't claim the reward. Did someone pretend to be me and claim the reward? You must look into it. The person in charge of exchanging for the reward was also a divine general. He frowned slightly and waved his hand. The glory leaderboard appeared. The divine general said, You are not qualified to exchange for a reward, so there is no need for us to investigate. Not qualified? How is that possible? I am ranked 2000th. Logically speaking, I am qualified to receive a special reward. Divine General Xingyuan shook his head. No, you are ranked 2000th. All right, leave now. Keep working hard and you will reach 2000th one day. When the time comes, you will be rewarded. With that, the Divine General closed the door. How is that possible? I am ranked 2000th? The Six Paths itinerant cultivator was stunned. He remembered that he was ranked 2000th before he went into seclusion. There was no mistake. Could it be that the Divine General lied to him? He wanted to enter, but he did not dare to. Divine General Xingyuan's strength was too terrifying. If he offended the Divine General, he would offend the Holy Gulf Tower. I want to see who it was that made a mistake on my name list. The Six Paths itinerant cultivator turned around and rushed to the main hall below. There was a complete list there. At that moment, countless people were still exclaiming and discussing. They could not believe what had just happened. Chapter 4803. Get out of my way! Six Paths roared as soon as he entered the hall. His murderous aura surged. The people around him felt their scalps go numb. They automatically opened up a path for him. At the same time, they were surprised that Six Paths had arrived. They knew why he was angry. He was originally in the 2000th place, but now he was pushed down by someone else. How could he not be angry? The Six Paths scattered cultivator came to the front and looked at the glory board. He looked around and soon, he saw the 2000th place. Suddenly, his pupils constricted. He realized that the 2000th place wasn't his name. It was someone called Mad God. And he was pushed down by that person. He was now in the 2001st place. Damn it, what's going on? He grabbed someone beside him and said, Who can tell me what's going on? That person's scalp went numb. He said in horror. Not long after you left, this mad god became the 2000th place. Damn it, who is he? When did he appear? That person said in horror. This mad god. He appeared about a year ago. He went from the last place to the 3000th place. Now, a year later, he went from the 3000th place to the 2000th place. Six Paths' pupils constricted when he heard the shocking change. Who is this person? He was too shocked. He had never heard of such a speed of improvement. No one knew. Some people said that he was a disciple of another monarch race. There were also some who said that he was a mysterious great sage, but no one knew who he was. That person's scalp went numb. He said, Can you let me go? You can't fight here. Six Paths snorted and threw him to the side. Then he said, I don't care who this mad god is. I don't care who he is. Whoever can find him, tell me where he is. I'll reward you handsomely. After that, Six Paths gritted his teeth and left. Lin Xian didn't know about this. He was still practicing the heaven walk steps. This was an extremely fast movement technique that had been passed down since ancient times. With every step, there would be extremely terrifying Tao patterns flickering. Later, Lin Xian started to cultivate in the cultivation room. However, he felt that the room was too small to unleash such power. He entered the mysterious world within his body and began to cultivate. The pressure inside the mysterious world was different from the outside world. It was about 100 times greater than the pressure outside. Therefore, Lin Xian had a hard time moving around inside. But under such circumstances, the effects of cultivation were surprisingly good. Now that Lin Xian's cultivation had improved again, he could now walk 1,000 meters. This time, he finally made a discovery. Other than the withered old trees, there were also some withered plants. There were even some plants that bore fruits, but they had already withered and could not be eaten at all. What kind of world was this? Lin Xian was shocked. It was clear that this world was extremely mystical. Back then, when it wasn't damaged, it was definitely extremely terrifying. This place was definitely filled with spirit fruits, but for some reason, this world had withered. However, these spirit fruits were not completely dead. Lin Xian wondered if they could recover if they were given enough power. He was not sure, but he felt that he could give it a try. He was someone who had been abandoned by the immortals. Every time he broke through in the outside world, he would be punished by the heavens. Therefore, this mysterious world would become more and more important to him in the future. Thinking of this, Lin Xian took out the resources he had obtained in the sacred abyss tower, and placed them in this mysterious world. He buried a large amount of dragon marrow and divine crystals in the ground to provide power to the withered spirit fruit. He stood there and waited quietly, wanting to see if there were any changes. Finally, there were changes. Lin Xian saw that about half of the withered spirit fruit had begun to recover. It was even glowing. This shocked him. It was indeed effective. This was not a real death, but a fake death. It had been sucked dry, but if he provided it with power, it was very likely to recover. However, this shocked him. What kind of fruit was this? It required too much power. After giving so many resources to it, it had only recovered a little. Lin Xian felt that even if he gave it all, it would not be enough. Therefore, they were trying to find more precious resources and spirit veins in the future. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. He was looking forward to that day. How terrifying would this world be after it recovered? After retreating from the mysterious world, Lin Xian left the cultivation room. When he arrived at the hall, he found many people in the hall discussing. Most of them were about Mad God and the unrestrained 6 paths. After listening for a while, Lin Xian understood. It turned out that something had happened before. He had pushed the unrestrained 6 paths down. The unrestrained 6 paths did not get the reward, which caused the unrestrained 6 paths to hate him. The unrestrained 6 paths was now looking for him all over the world. The unrestrained 6 paths and the 6 paths gate. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He better not meet them. Otherwise, he could guarantee that the unrestrained 6 paths gate would suffer. The 6 paths gate had chased after him before. Back then, he was unable to fight against a great sage. The other party had sent a great sage to the Xiantian pavilion. Fortunately, the pavilion master of the Xiantian pavilion had blocked it for him. Otherwise, he would have been in danger. Lin Xian was also very cautious about the 6 paths gate. After all, it was the sect left behind by the great sage Kun. It had the 6 paths body. Lin Xian had the heavenly secret god eyes, which could evolve into the 6 paths eye. He was afraid that there would be a battle in the future. Shaking his head, Lin Xian ignored them and returned to the Dao sect. When he returned to the god's residence, the Crimson Dragon and the others were waiting. Naylan Liang walked over and said, "Brother Lin, we have inquired about the missions. We have chosen 2 missions. We don't know what to choose. You decide." Lin Xian looked at them and was greatly shocked. These 2 missions were not on the buried Emperor Star. They were on other worlds. However, he soon understood. At this stage, the things controlled by these family orthodoxies were not just limited to 1 or 2 worlds. Moreover, even if they were doing missions, they would be searching for them across the universe. Of the two missions, one was to find a precious spirit vein and bring it back. The other was to go to the medicine star and find 3 stalks of 10,000-year-old herbs. The toad said, "We originally wanted to go to the medicine star. The extra spirit herbs can be ours." However, Nalan Liang received news. This time, not only us, but also many people from the Tao sect will be going to the medicine star. In addition, the Heaven sect, Earth sect, and other remote antiquity families will also be going. At that time, there will probably be a great battle. Why? Lin Xian was shocked. Logically speaking, such a mission should not have caused such a commotion. Nalan Liang said, "It is said that a medicine king will appear on the medicine star." Medicine king! The king of medicine. It is extremely rare. That was why so many experts and geniuses were alarmed this time. Chapter 4804. Lin Xian thought about it and said, "How about this? You guys go and do the first spirit vein mission. I'll go to the medicine star alone and see if I can get anything." The Crimson Dragon nodded. They naturally recognized Lin Xian's strength. If he went alone, it would be convenient for him to retreat. They weren't worried. Just like that, the two sides agreed. The Crimson Dragon and the others would go and do the first mission, while Lin Xian would go to the medicine star. The medicine star was another star world. Thus, to go there, one had to use a world-grade teleportation formation. Fortunately, the Tao sect had such a teleportation formation. Moreover, some of the missions were carried out in other spheres. There were quite a few of such teleportation formations. Following the flickering of the formation's light, Lin Xian felt the world spinning. He saw spatial channels forming on both sides, and he was quickly teleporting. When he came back to his senses, he discovered that he was surrounded by a boundless starry sky. There was a star world in front of the universe. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew towards the medicine star below. He landed in a forest. Upon arriving at the medicine star, Lin Xian felt the blood and qi in his body boil. This world was truly too strange. Spirit herbs grew everywhere. The entire world was filled with spirit Tao aura. Walking in the forest, Lin Xian discovered that other than him, there were many people who had descended from the sky. Thinking about it, they should have been teleported over from other worlds. These people were vigilant against each other. They were separated by a long distance as they set off. However, when they were about to leave the forest, they discovered that there was an endless amount of ice in front of them. It formed a frost cage that firmly trapped them. Outside the frost cage stood a few figures. The cold qi on their bodies was incomparably terrifying. They said coldly, "This area is under the control of the blue race. If you want to leave, you have to hand over 500 drops of dragon marrow." Hearing this, the expressions of the descenders in the forest became unsightly. "Damn it, the blue race is too arrogant." Some people also said, "This is the medicine star, not the buried emperor star. What right do you have to take it?" At the front, an expert from the blue race sneered. "What? You're not convinced? Let me tell you something. The blue race has always had a cooperative relationship with the medicine star. This time, there was nothing wrong with helping them collect some dragon marrow. Also, don't even think about leaving in another direction. The entire exit is divided between the 4 of us. Our blue clan is only one of them. If you go anywhere else, you will also be followed by the dragon's search." Damn it, those who had descended were gnashing their teeth. Some of them had extraordinary statuses and were extremely powerful. But she's alone. If the situation was slightly better, it would be a small team, but generally, it would not exceed 10 people. At the front, the Blue Clan formed a powerful Saint battle team. The difference in numbers between the two sides was simply too great. Lin Xian also frowned. He was no stranger to the Blue Clan. He had just killed Lan Zilu. These people shouldn't be able to recognize him. Thinking of this, their auras changed slightly. After all, he had just arrived and did not want to fight with these people. It was better to find out more about the King of Medicine first. The others couldn't do anything about it. Although 500 dragon marrow wasn't a lot, the other party's tough attitude made them furious. But at this moment, they had no choice but to lower their heads. Each of them was prepared to hand over 500 dragon marrow and enter. After all, once they could enter completely, they could find a lot of spiritual herbs. At that time, the loss of 500 dragon marrow would be quickly recovered. Lin Xian naturally hid in the team. He also planned to enter first. If there was a chance in the future, he would not let the other party go. Finally, they left the ice prison. These people flew in all directions. Lin Xian also soared into the sky and came to a mountain peak in the distance. He looked in all directions. At the same time, he summoned Whitey. "Little guy, it's up to you." Whitey's eyes lit up. Yeah, this is really a good place. He was so happy that he wanted to stay here forever. Let's go, let's do it. With Little White's treasure hunting ability and Lin Xian's extreme speed, he executed the skywalk steps and was like a deity traveling. His speed was so fast that no one could see him clearly. They only felt a flash of lightning. Everyone was shocked. The entire medicine star was filled with spiritual herbs. However, Lin Xian and Whitey didn't care about the ordinary ones. The ones they were looking for were incomparably precious. Such things were very rare. After searching for a few days, they only found 2. Whitey was furious. He directly grabbed a bunch of spiritual herbs and placed them in the treasure basin. Below, the hand of fortune began to condense and refine them. Soon, thousands of spiritual herbs melted quickly and formed a drop of spiritual liquid. This drop of spiritual liquid was definitely much more effective than those spiritual herbs. However, it was still not enough. After all, spiritual herbs that could be seen everywhere didn't have much value. As for places with precious spiritual herbs, they were all occupied by powerful clans and families. There were many clans and sects on the Medicine Star. Among them, there were 2 biggest ones. One was the Medicine Sect, and the other was the Alchemy Kingdom. Sure enough, there were experts who descended and started a battle with the clans and sects of the Medicine Star. The battle was earth-shattering. Lin Xian didn't take action. Instead, he relied on the treasure basin and Whitey's power to secretly find a few spiritual herbs. Gradually, they collected more and more spiritual herbs. In a valley, an array formation flickered. Lin Xian sat there. There was an extremely terrifying light on his body. In the next moment, he entered a mysterious world. He placed some of the spiritual herbs he had obtained into the mysterious world. Lin Xian wanted to see if these spiritual herbs could grow in the soil here. He found that they couldn't. This was because a 5,000-year-old spiritual herb instantly withered and turned into dust as soon as it was planted. Was its power absorbed? Was there a problem with this land? Lin Xian's eyes emitted an extremely terrifying aura. However, this land was really terrifying. There was a mysterious power that directly blocked his detection. It even threatened him. Lin Xian retracted his gaze with a look of surprise. It was so strange. However, he found that the land where the spiritual herbs were planted had some changes. Even the withered spiritual herbs in the surroundings had recovered a little. From the looks of it, this piece of land was lacking too much power. If he wanted to completely recover, he was afraid that he would have to provide an endless supply of power. Thinking of this, he walked out of the mysterious world. At the same time, Whitey also returned. This time, it had collected quite a lot. The little guy was very happy. In front of Lin Xian, it kept cheering. At that moment, Lin Xian furrowed his brows as he discovered a shocking scene. In the treasure basin, of the dozens of spiritual herbs that were originally collected, one of them jumped up, turned into a stream of light, and ran away. Lin Xian was stunned. This guy could run. Had it become a demon? Whitey also angrily waved its little claws. Stop, don't run. However, that spiritual herb didn't listen to it and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 4805. Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared in the distance with the celestial steps. The 5 elemental laws shot out a 5 elemental mountain and pressed down. It formed a cage, and the spirit herb was knocked back. It returned and drilled into the ground. Lin Xian's eyes shone. With a wave of his hand, a sword she flew down and directly cut off the other party's path. The spirit fruit instantly escaped and flew to the other side. In the next moment, he disappeared. In front of him, on the forest ground, countless spirit herbs were everywhere. There were all kinds of colors, but there was no longer the black spirit herb from before. Little White flew over with a face full of confusion. Why was it gone? Its little claws kept scratching its head as it looked at Lin Xian. The golden light in Lin Xian's eyes shone again, piercing through everything. He was also stunned. Even with his heavenly secret divine eyes, he couldn't see which one was the one he was looking for. This made him puzzled. Did it run away? Forget it, I'll just burn it. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the 9 suns' divine fire appeared, covering the entire world. This was a divine fire. It was as if the sun had descended. The surrounding spirit herbs instantly withered, and one of them directly jumped up. It kept shaking at Lin Xian as if to say, "Why are you so crazy? You're too ruthless." Then, it fled into the distance again. This time, how could Lin Xian let it escape? He used the yin-yang image, but it didn't work. Lin Xian had no choice but to take out the heaven-devouring jar, and a black vortex appeared. Finally, the black spirit fruit was frightened. It swallowed the tablet into the heaven-devouring jar. Lin Xian grabbed it and formed a seal with his dragon-shaped sword chi, sealing it within. Mine, mine! Xiao Bai jumped over and hugged the spirit fruit, not letting go. He had never seen such a fun thing before. Don't worry, no one will snatch it from you. Lin Xian smiled. They prepared to return. At this moment, there were many figures in the surroundings. Someone said, "Young master, don't worry. The transformation fruit is nearby." Someone was coming. Lin Xian brought Little White and prepared to leave. However, a mirror fell from the sky. At the same time, someone in the distance snorted coldly. "Who are you? Stay here." A terrifying aura appeared in the surroundings. There was even ice that sealed the world. The speed of these people was very fast. They arrived nearby in an instant. When they saw Lin Xian, they immediately frowned. "Kid, did you find any other elixirs here before?" Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He noticed that the person in front of him was covered in ice. He was obviously from the blue race. What was the fruit of transformation? "Did you hear us?" The person on the other side was surprised. The leader of the group snorted coldly. "Don't you need to know what the fruit is? I only asked you if you saw it." Lin Xian smiled. "You didn't even tell me what it was like, so how would I know if I saw it or not?" The man frowned. He felt as if he had dug a hole and jumped into it. His expression was cold and gloomy. Someone walked out from the side. That woman wanted to explain. But in the next moment, she caught sight of the black spirit fruit in Xiao Bai's hands. Her eyes turned red instantly. The fruit was in his hands. Countless gazes were fixed on Little White in an instant. The space around Xiao Bai started to shatter. Xiao Bai jumped in shock and hurried to Lin Xian's side. "Kid, hand over the fruit." The man in blue robes shouted coldly. The woman's eyes shone brightly. She said, "That little monkey is not bad. I want it too." A bunch of bad people. Xiao Bai made a funny face at these people. Lin Xian was shocked. So the black spirit fruit was the fruit of transformation. However, he had never heard of it. What was the use of the fruit of transformation? Lin Xian asked. Seeing how nervous these people were, it seemed to be very useful. The man in blue robes snorted. "Can't you do anything about it?" The woman in red laughed. "I advise you to hand it over obediently. Do you know who we are? I am the dragon lady of the fire dragon race, and he is the young master of the blue race. Be it the fire dragon race or the blue race, They are not people you can offend. So, just hand it over obediently. The man from the blue race snorted coldly. Kneel down and hand it over. Otherwise, you will die without a burial ground. Lin Xian laughed. Blue race, are you courting death? Is the fire dragon race very powerful? If you want it, let's see if you have the ability. You are courting death. Men, kill him for me. The man in blue robes waved his hand. Behind him, 3 figures rushed over. They were 3 late-stage Saint Kings. They had already checked. Lin Xian was only a mid-stage Saint King. They could kill such an existence in an instant. But the result was completely different. Lin Xian looked over and the souls of the 3 late-stage Saint Kings were destroyed. They fell from the sky. Then, Lin Xian used the hand of creation to draw the 3 of them into 3 drops of blood essence. This method stunned the people on the other side. So strong. The dragon lady said that he should be an expert who can fight above his level. The man in blue robes snorted. Who are you? Tell me your identity. Trash like you don't have the right to know. You dare to say that I am trash? The man in blue robes was angry. Attack immediately. Behind him, 8 people walked out. Half of them were Saint Kings at the peak of the Saint Plane. They attacked forcefully, freezing the world. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He condensed the divine eye in the sky like the eye of a god, looking down on the world. At the same time, he used the celestial walk. His speed was extremely fast. Even in the sky full of snow, he was like lightning. Rock seal. Every attack was like a rock spreading its wings, shattering a Saint King. In the blink of an eye, 6 of the 8 figures were beaten into a bloody mist. The other 2 also fled in fear. He was too strong. They were no match for him at all. The man in blue robes had an ugly expression. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be so strong. He gritted his teeth and snorted. Good boy, just you wait. After saying that, he turned around and wanted to leave. You want to leave now? Lin Xian sneered. The Taiji diagram flew out. Yin and Yang aura descended, forming a yin-yang world that enveloped everyone. You dare to stop me? The man in blue robes was angry. Don't you know my identity? Also, let me tell you, my 6th uncle is nearby. He is a great saint, and is on the Holy Gulf Glory Board. Can you fight against him? Kneel down obediently and accept your death. Otherwise, when my 6th uncle comes, you will definitely die. Oh, someone on the Holy Gulf Glory Board? Is he very powerful? Lin Xian sneered. Fire Dragon Girl was also stunned. Then she said, Didn't you come from the buried Emperor Star? Don't you know how terrifying the Holy Gulf Glory Board is? Lin Xian said. So what if I know? What is your 6th uncle's ranking? The man in blue said proudly. My 6th uncle is ranked 10,000. And... Lin Xian snorted coldly with his hands behind his back. Boy, are you an idiot? The man in blue robes roared crazily when he heard that. Fire Dragon Girl sneered. It seems that you really don't know anything. Although he was ranked 10,000, that was the Holy Gulf Glory Board. This board was enough to suppress everything. So what? Lin Xian sneered. He must be trash to be ranked so low. Chapter 4806. The man in blue went crazy. Fire Dragon Lady could not believe it either. How could someone say that the people on the Xingyuan honor list were trash? This guy was definitely dead. Dragon Lady Fairy, help me hold this guy back. I'll definitely get my 6th uncle to come. As the man in blue spoke, he took out a matrix and began to transmit his voice inside. 6th uncle, come quickly. There's a guy who doesn't know what's good for him. He actually called you trash. You must kill him. Fire Dragon Lady also walked over. Her eyes shone with a cold light. She was also at the peak of the Saint King realm. She was also a genius who could fight against a supreme saint. She would definitely be able to hold the other party back. However, Lin Xian had no intention of doing anything. Fire Dragon Lady was the only one who didn't want to run away. When the blue-clothed man saw this, he sneered even more ferociously. When his sixth uncle came, the other party would be dead. He really wasn't lying. His sixth uncle was nearby. And he would be here soon. A middle-aged man descended. The ice power on him froze the entire world. Even the spiritual herbs below were frozen. The world seemed to have turned into a world of ice and snow. Who dares to challenge the Blue Clan? Who is so reckless as to question me? There was a cold snort. Even the flames on Fire Dragon Lady's body became very faint. Although she was a genius who could fight against a supreme saint, compared to the people on the honor list, she was much weaker. She was no match for them at all. Sixth uncle, it's him. This guy who doesn't know what's good for him. Quickly suppress him. When the blue-clothed man saw this, he cried out in joy. He pointed ahead. The Blue Clan's sixth uncle frowned and looked ahead. The next moment, he was surprised. The other party was only a mid-stage Saint King. Such a young man dared to question the Xingyuan honor list? You're his sixth uncle, right? Someone on the Xingyuan honor list? Lin Xian looked at him and said lightly. That's right. The middle-aged man said proudly. Lin Xian shook his head. You're indeed trash. You're even weaker than I thought. What did you say? Lan Mingtian's eyes exploded with terrifying ice. Challenge the honor list. Kill. As an expert on the Xingyuan honor list, he was so proud that he didn't even care about a supreme saint of the same level, let alone a young man. He stretched out a finger. Lin Xian's sixth uncle. The people from the blue race sneered. The other party was dead for sure. Lin Xian also snorted coldly and threw out a punch. The golden fist was like a golden crow, dancing between heaven and earth. The terrifying flames instantly melted the ice in the sky, turning the world of ice and snow into a world of the sun. Lan Mingtian's finger was broken and he retreated. His face was full of shock. Fire Dragon Lady and the blue-clothed man were stunned as well. They widened their eyes in disbelief. What did they see? Lan Mingtian was injured. This was a powerhouse on the honor roll. How could he be injured? Not even great sages of the same level could defeat him. There was a hint of fear in Lan Mingtian's eyes. The other party was able to injure him so easily. He was definitely not a nobody. I have a title, Mad God. Mad God. What an arrogant name. The Blue Clan was surprised. Even Fire Dragon frowned. This guy dared to call himself a god? To them, this name was just arrogance. But when Lan Mingtian heard it, it was like being struck by lightning. His body trembled, and shock appeared in his eyes. You're Mad God. That's impossible. He roared in horror as if he had heard the most unbelievable thing. Sixth uncle, what's going on? Is he very powerful? The man in blue asked. He's more than powerful. Lan Mingtian was shocked. Impossible. How can Mad God be so young? Don't try to lie to me. He roared and threw out his strongest attack. Apocalyptic Ice Dagger Axe. Endless frost condensed into an icy dagger axe. It slashed down as if it could destroy a world. At this moment, the entire medicine planet shook violently. Countless people were terrified. What happened? Lin Xian snorted. Rock seal, rock wings spread. Endless divine fire merged with the rock phantom. It was as if a divine beast had been resurrected and swept across the world. The apocalyptic ice dagger axe was shattered in an instant. Lan Mingtian retreated and vomited blood. It's true. You're really Mad God. He shouted in horror. Only Mad God could defeat him so easily. Fire Dragon Girl gasped in disbelief. The people of the Blue Clan were even more frightened. Even their great sage was defeated? The man in blue asked. Sixth uncle, who is this kid? He was also alarmed. Even his sixth uncle wasn't a match for him. The other party was too terrifying. Could it be that he was an old monster? Do you believe it now? Lin Xian said indifferently. After Lan Mingtian heard this, he stood up and bowed respectfully to Mad God. The people of the Blue Clan went crazy. What did they see? Their great sage was actually bowing respectfully. And the other party was just a young man. Sixth uncle, you didn't lose. You were just careless. You killed him. You can still kill him. Lan Mingtian frowned. He raised his hand and slapped the man in blue to the ground. He shouted coldly. Stupid thing, how dare you provoke Mad God? Do you want to die? How was that possible? The man in blue was stunned. The other people of the Blue Clan were also so frightened that they knelt on the ground. No, sixth uncle, why didn't you help me? The man in blue roared crazily. Fire Dragon Girl also frowned. She said, Senior, who is this guy? Lan Mingtian sighed. Dragon Girl, you really made a wrong decision. Mad God is rank 2000 on the Holy Gulf Glory list. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. How would I dare to fight with him? What? Fire Linger was stunned. The people of the Blue Clan were even more shocked. The man in blue trembled in fear and knelt on the ground. He finally knew why his sixth uncle didn't help him. Because the other party was too powerful. His sixth uncle was ranked 10,000 on the glory list, so he could show off. And the other party was ranked 2,000 on the glory list, far above his sixth uncle. He couldn't provoke such a person. Mad God, please spare my life. I didn't recognize you. Please spare my life. The man in blue quickly knelt and begged for mercy. The people of the Blue Clan kept kowtowing. Even Fire Dragon Girl was stunned. In the next moment, she also said respectfully, I didn't know you, sir. Please have mercy. Lan Mingtian also said, Mad God, my nephew is too useless. He has offended you. The Blue Clan is willing to pay any price. Please have mercy. Any price? Lin Xian smiled. Are you sure? Even if it's your life? Lan Mingtian's pupils shrank. He took a deep breath and a cold murderous intent appeared in his eyes. He said, I know. After saying that, he slapped the man in blue, turning him into a bloody mist and destroying his soul. In addition, the 3 people of the Blue Clan who were kneeling were also killed by him. Chapter 4807. Looking at this scene, Fire Dragon Lady sucked in a breath of cold air. Her face was full of shock. She really didn't think that Lan Mingtian would actually kill someone directly, and it was against someone from his own clan. She quickly retreated and put up a defense. Lan Mingtian didn't attack again. Instead, he said in a low voice, My nephew and clan have offended you. Mad God, you deserve to die. I will personally send them to hell. As for this dragon lady, she is from the Fire Dragon clan. I have no right to attack her. How you punish her is up to you. Goodbye. With that, he turned and wanted to leave. To be honest, he didn't want to attack, but the other party was too strong. If he didn't give him a satisfactory explanation today, he was afraid that the other party wouldn't let him go. Therefore, he could only kill these people. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that this person was really ruthless. He could even kill his own people and nephew. If such a person returned, he would definitely be a disaster. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly. Stop, did I say you could leave? Lan Mingtian stopped and turned his head. His face was cold. Mad God, what else do you want? He was also angry. He had already killed his own people and apologized. What else did the other party want? What else? Lin Xian snorted coldly. There was an extremely terrifying light in his eyes. He said, What did you say when you faced me before? Those who challenge the glory kill. Lan Mingtian's pupils shrank. These words were said to the others. No one could challenge the Holy Gulf glory list. Now, he was also on the glory list. Did the other party want to kill him? He snorted. Mad God, don't be too arrogant. You are strong, but you are too young and inexperienced. If we really fight, you can't do anything to me. If I want to leave, you can't stop me. Is that so? It seems that you still don't understand the glory list. Let me tell you the difference between us. Lin Xian walked forward. At the same time, a sword appeared in his hand. It was the unparalleled sword. Damn it! Lan Mingtian was angry and quickly fled into the distance. Mad God, I will remember you. No matter how strong you are, you can't fight against the entire Blue Clan. When I return, I will let you know the strength of the Blue Clan. He naturally didn't dare to fight with Lin Xian, but if he wanted to escape, no one could stop him. Lin Xian slowly raised the sword in his hand as he spoke in a cold voice. Those who challenge glory kill. Along with the voice, the sword she also descended, turning into an azure dragon, splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. The sky was cleaved in two, and the earth split open. Lan Mingtian fled into the distance. However, he could still sense how terrifying this sword was. He went berserk and unleashed countless ice shields to block it. However, after that sword strike, he despaired. His body was split into two halves. Not only that, his broken body was unable to heal. This sword contained an extremely sharp aura. It was too terrifying, as though it was undying and indestructible, making it difficult for him to recover. Damn it, his soul flew out, fleeing into the distance. This time, he really did suffer serious injuries. However, it also let him know how terrifying the other party was. The 2000th place on the glory roll was too terrifying. He was no match for him. However, he still underestimated Lin Xian. Even though he used the broken sacred blood in his body to perform a secret technique and ignite his bloodline, allowing his soul to move at an extremely fast speed. However, he still couldn't escape Lin Xian's gaze. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms, and his heavenly secret god eyes released the power of reincarnation. The fire of reincarnation. The terrifying eye technique flames instantly enveloped the other party's soul. Lan Mingtian's soul burned in the flames, roaring crazily. No! Lord Mad God, please spare me. I was wrong. He was finally terrified. Lin Xian looked at this scene expressionlessly and said indifferently, Since you were wrong, go to hell and repent. In the end, Lan Mingtian's body was burned to ashes. Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed the other party's storage ring. At the same time, the storage rings of the blue-clothed man and the others were all collected by him. In the next moment, Lin Xian looked at Fire Dragon Lady. Fire Dragon Lady was so scared that her body trembled, and she knelt on the ground. Even someone as powerful as Lan Mingtian had fallen. If the other party wanted to kill her, it would be a piece of cake. Please spare my life. I'm willing to pay any price. Any price? Lin Xian smiled. Raise your head. Fire Dragon Lady raised her head, and a touch of red appeared on her face. She seemed to have thought of something. However, she gritted her teeth and nodded. Anything. Even if she had to serve the other party, she had to admit that such an expert was worthy of her lowering her head. Lin Xian said in her ear, All right, give me a world. I'll spare your life. What? Fire Dragon Lady was stunned. She didn't expect the other party's request to be different from what she had thought. He wanted a world. She sucked in a cold breath. Why can't you do it? A trace of killing intent appeared on Lin Xian's body. Fire Dragon Lady hurriedly said that she could do it. Although giving a world to someone else made her heart bleed, she had to do it in order to save her life. However, she said, Young master, a world belongs to our family. I don't have the strength to control it, so the world is not in my hands. Come back to the family with me. I'll give it to you with both hands. There's no need. A month later, wait for me outside the Holy Gulf Tower. I hope to see the heart of the world then. Also, don't think about escaping, and don't think about using your family's power to fight against me. I'll only give you one chance. If you dare to betray me, I'll let you know what despair is. Don't worry, I won't. Fire Dragon Lady was terrified. The other party was too terrifying. At such a young age, with such a cultivation, he was ranked 2000 on the glory board. The other party's strength and cultivation would increase in the future, and his ranking would be even higher. She knew that this was an existence comparable to a prince. How could she dare to provoke him? Therefore, she could only agree quickly. Lin Xian retracted his gaze and said coldly, "Get up. Remember to respect me in the future." "Yes." Fire Dragon Lady became extremely obedient at this moment. "Yeah, it tastes terrible." At this moment, Little White spat out. It turned out that during the fight just now, Little White had already unlocked the seal and began to eat the fruit. Lin Xian was stunned when he saw this. Even Fire Dragon Lady's expression changed. She ate it just like that. Seeing the other party's surprised expression, Lin Xian asked, "Tell me, what's the use of the fruit?" Fire Dragon Lady said respectfully. This kind of spirit fruit was very rare. It only appeared once in tens of thousands of years. Once it appeared and was obtained by someone, it would be divided into many portions and refined into pills to be consumed. It was said that as long as one ate the fruit, they would have the ability to transform. Some people could turn from humans into demons, and some beasts could turn into humans. It didn't even have the aura of a demon. It could be said that it was very strange. However, he had never heard of swallowing the whole fruit. Lin Xian finally understood. The transformation fruit, as its name implied, allowed one to transform into different forms. He looked at Little White and asked, "How is it?" He was also a little nervous. After all, according to Fire Dragon Lady, no one would eat so much. Would there be any mutation? Chapter 4808. Little White was confused. He said, "I feel like I've grown wings and am about to fly." In the next moment, he waved his hands and turned them into wings. He flew up and turned into a butterfly. The white butterflies kept fluttering in the air. "Oh, I can't take it anymore. I want to drink water." Little White flew into the distance. There was a lake there, and he turned from a butterfly into a giant. He was like a giant mountain. He lowered his head and drank all the water in the lake in one gulp. Then he turned into a bee, ant, leopard, all kinds of forms. In the end, the little guy fell asleep in a daze and returned to his monkey form. "Is there a problem?" Lin Xian frowned. Fire Dragon Girl said carefully, "There shouldn't be. Maybe it's because the medicinal effect is too strong. It'll be fine after it's digested. All right, go and prepare the heart of the world. Don't miss it in a month." After Lin Xian finished speaking, he waved his sleeve and left with Little White. Outside the forest, one of the elders in the area frowned as he realized that a great sage might have perished. How is that possible? The people beside him were shocked. Who dares to attack the blue race? Go and investigate. They all moved. Because not only did a supreme sage die, but a young master also died. This was a big deal. Lin Xian didn't know that the blue race had already begun to search. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. At this moment, he was searching in another forest. Since he was here, he was prepared to complete the mission. He would give 3 stalks of 10,000-year-old herbs to the Taoist sect and let the supreme sages of the Taoist sect refine them into pills. When the pills were refined, he would be given a third. This was a very good deal. At the same time, he also looked for some spirit veins and kept them in the mysterious world in his body to see what effects they had. Boom, boom. A spirit vein soared into the sky like a dragon. Countless people were shocked. A 10,000-year-old herb even flew out. It attracted many people's attention. Some people were shocked. Who is this? His methods are too terrifying. Isn't he afraid that the people of Medicine Star will fight back? Most of the people who came to Medicine Star were looking for spirit herbs. However, they didn't dare to do such a thing directly. They were afraid that they would gang up on them. Countless gazes looked over. In the next moment, they saw a figure in the distance. He was walking through the air and charging towards the 10,000-year-old medicine. Humph! Many people around snorted coldly and attacked one after another. A 10,000-year-old medicine was also a necessary cultivation item for them. How could he let him go? Someone reached out a large palm, someone brought out a precious bottle, someone condensed a large cauldron, slaughtering their way over. However, they all missed. A figure was even faster than them, directly arriving in front of the 10,000-year-old medicine. His 5 fingers formed a seal, directly enveloping it. Who was it? This speed was too fast. Countless people were shocked. Were they from the Light Clan? They took a closer look and realized that it was the guy who had collected the spirit vein. How arrogant! You won't even let the old medicine go? These people were enraged. Up above, Lin Xian didn't pay any attention to these people. He turned around and left. Suddenly, a cold light streaked across the sky and turned into a heavenly saber that descended from the sky, cutting off Lin Xian's path. Lin Xian came to a stop. He narrowed his eyes and looked ahead. In the next moment, someone walked out and said coldly, "Kid, you've gone too far. Hand over that 10,000-year-old spirit herb." This man was wearing battle armor and holding a battle saber. He had short hair and a biting cold aura. It was as if he wanted to tear the world apart. There was an order in his words, and he didn't take Lin Xian seriously at all. He was from the Heavenly Saber sect. Lin Xian recognized him in an instant. The other party's saber technique was very similar to the one from the Heavenly Saber sect, except that he was more powerful. "Get out of here before I get angry, or you'll die a terrible death," the surrounding people exclaimed. Who is this person? How dare he be so arrogant in front of Saber Saint Tianfeng? The man in front also had the same expression as Chen Xiao. If you don't know what's good for you, then there's no need for you to exist. An extremely terrifying killing intent bloomed from his body. However, at this moment, another cold snort was heard. He's right. You don't have the right to take the 10,000-year-old spirit herb because it's mine. Someone stepped in the air. It was very terrifying. Countless people turned to look and exclaimed, "It's him, Mo Duxing. This is a genius on the Taoist sex stars ranking. He's an expert who can fight beyond his level." Countless people were terrified. Saber Saint Tianfeng also frowned. "Mo Duxing, do you dare to fight with me? So what if I fight with you?" Mo Duxing snorted coldly. Then, he looked around and said coldly, "The rest of you, get out of here." The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. Those who could enter the stars ranking were extremely powerful figures in the 3 orthodoxies. "Oh, you want me to get out? Are you sure?" At this moment, a cold sneer was heard. Lin Xian asked with a smile. The others were shocked. Does this guy want to fight with Mo Duxing? Mo Duxing was also angry. Who dares to go against my orders? He turned to look. In the next moment, his scalp went numb. "It's you!" He looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was so scared that he almost fell from the sky. Lin Xian sneered. "That's right, it's me. What did you just say? Say it again?" "I don't dare. I didn't know you were here." "Please spare my life. I'll leave now." After that, he bowed deeply and turned to leave. "He looks like he's afraid of something?" The surrounding people were all stunned. They looked at Lin Xian with faces full of shock. Who is this guy? How can he make Mo Duxing so scared? Could it be that he's an even more powerful expert from the Tao sect? That can't be. He's a stranger. I don't know him. The surrounding people were discussing. Saber Saint Tianfeng was also stunned. Then he sneered. Mo Duxing is a genius on the stars ranking. He's just a coward. Kid, hand over the 10,000 years elixir quickly. Otherwise, you'll end up badly. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. Even Mo Duxing doesn't dare to attack me. You dare to attack me? Saber Saint Tianfeng laughed. Do you really think he's afraid of you? He's afraid of me. It's just that he's embarrassed to say it out loud. What an ignorant ant! Lin Xian sneered. Then he slapped his palm forward. You dare to attack me? Sky shaking ate Saber. Saber Saint Tianfeng was enraged. He attacked crazily. The saber in his hand split into 8 and slashed down. It's Saber Saint Tianfeng's ultimate technique. Countless people exclaimed and retreated quickly. They also wanted to see if Lin Xian had the strength to make a star's ranking expert fear him. Facing the 8 heavenly sabers, Lin Xian didn't care. His palms swept across and arrived in front of his opponent. A slap landed on his opponent's face. Then, Saber Saint Tianfeng was sent flying. Half of his face was smashed. The surrounding people were stunned. What did they see? The powerful Saber Saint was sent flying with a slap. And Mo Duxing, who was watching from afar, narrowed his eyes and felt his scalp go numb. Fortunately, he had a good attitude and apologized in time. Otherwise, he would be the unlucky one. Chapter 4809. A crazy roar came from the front. Saber Saint Tianfeng roared at the sky, and his broken face quickly recovered. However, his face was terrifyingly black. Damn it, you dare to hit my face? I will make you wish you were dead. His killing intent swept out, and endless heavenly saber runes appeared on his body, forming a heavenly saber totem. When the others saw this scene, their scalps went numb. They knew that Saber Saint Tianfeng was going all out. Kill! Saber Saint Tianfeng roared, and his saber light pierced through the sky, turning into thousands of light beams, slashing forward. It enveloped Lin Xian. A terrifying aura burst out, and the entire sky shattered. 1,000,000 miles turned into a whirlpool, and there was no place left intact. It's over. That person was hit. Even if he didn't die, he would be severely injured. Saber Saint Tianfeng laughed at the sky. Ha 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 ha, kid, what do you have to fight with me? He walked over proudly. He wanted to take the 10,000-year-old ancient medicine from Saber Saint Tianfeng. Is this your strongest attack? It's pitifully weak. A figure walked out from the saber light that filled the sky. Golden light filled the sky, and there was not even a crack on his body. How could it be? Countless people were dumbfounded. Saber Saint Tianfeng stopped, and his face was full of fear. Saber Saint Tianfeng was not injured at all. Could it be that he dodged all the attacks? Impossible! Saber Saint Tianfeng was just a mid-stage Saint King. How could he have dodged all the attacks? Unless he was a great saint. In other words, Saber Saint Tianfeng had used his physique to block all the attacks. Saber Saint Tianfeng's attacks could not even break through Saber Saint Tianfeng's physique. Thinking of this possibility, he broke out in cold sweat. What kind of physique was this? He definitely could not provoke Saber Saint Tianfeng. Who exactly are you? Saber Saint Tianfeng only remembered to ask about Saber Saint Tianfeng's identity now. At the same time, he also knew why Mo Duxing wanted to escape. It was not because he was afraid of Saber Saint Tianfeng. Lin Xian waved his hand and smashed Saber Saint Tianfeng's face again as if he was swatting a fly. Saber Saint Tianfeng crashed into a few mountains and fell to the ground, screaming crazily. Lin Xian smirked coldly as he stomped the other party's head into the ground. Don't you think that it's too late to know who I am? Blade Saint Tianfeng said. You can't kill me. My brother is called Small Blade God. If you kill me, he will not let Saint Tianfeng ask. Can I understand that you are threatening me? A cold killing intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Damn it! Blade Saint Tianfeng was terrified. He could no longer move his body. He could feel death approaching him. Show mercy. At this moment, a cold shout was heard. Then, a palm fell down and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. He raised his hand and punched out. A golden fist shot up into the sky and knocked the palm back. After that, the golden fist did not disappear. Instead, it went straight for the figure. That figure was horrified. He executed a secret technique and instantly dodged. However, his face soon turned pale. "Stop!" she shouted angrily. "I have no intention of attacking you. I just want you to hold back and not kill him. Who are you? How dare you meddle in my business?" Lin Xian glanced at him. The surrounding people cried out in alarm. Heavens, if it was Neilin Yanran! This guy was actually able to force Neilin Yanran to retreat. It was too unbelievable. Saber St. Tianfeng's eyes were filled with hope. He cried out, "Sister Neilin, save me!" Lin Xian frowned. "Neilin Yanran, is she from the Neilin family?" "That's right, I am from the Neilin family." Neilin Yanran nodded. "He offended you before. You can teach him a lesson, but please don't kill him." The surrounding people were shocked. Saber St. Tianfeng was stunned too. He knew how prideful Neilin Yanran was. She was like a queen who ordered others around. But now, Lin Xian used the word please. One could imagine how terrifying this young man was. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. Hence, he could only lower his head. "Young master, please spare my life. I won't dare to do it again." Lin Xian ignored him and looked at Neilin Yanran. "For Neilin Liang's sake, I will give you face and spare his life. But if there is a next time, don't blame me for being merciless." With that, Lin Xian waved his hand and left with the 10,000-year-old ancient herb. No one dared to obstruct him anymore. The power that Lin Xian displayed was truly shocking. They were all stunned. Not to mention the star's ranking experts, Neilin Yanran was a Heaven Sect expert and a Xian ranking expert. One could imagine how terrifying Lin Xian was. "Sister Neilin, thank you for saving me." Saber St. Tianfeng stood up and cupped his fists in gratitude. Neilin Yanran looked at him and said, "Don't cause trouble in the future. There are too many experts here. Maybe some of them are top experts. Don't think that your brother, Small Knife God, can protect you forever. Take care of yourself in the future." After that, Neilin Yanran turned and left. But she was still confused. Lin Xian stopped not because of her or Small Knife God, but because of Neilin Liang. She and Neilin Liang were from the same family. But in the family, she was the most dazzling genius. And although Neilin Liang was talented, he couldn't be compared to her. She was a Xian ranking expert in the Heaven Sect. Neilin Liang participated in 2 tests but didn't enter the Dao sect. The difference was huge. One was in the sky and the other was on the ground. When did Neilin Liang know such an expert? She had to go back and ask. On the other side, Lin Xian also left. It seemed that these big families were indeed not ordinary. Their disciples were sent to the 3 major orthodoxies. And the 3 orthodoxies were probably inextricably linked to these ancient families and great sections. If the Neilin family was like this, the nest of 10,000 dragons background was probably even more terrifying. Who knew how many terrifying forces and families would be involved when the Dragon Prince was killed? Lin Xian took a deep breath and a look of determination appeared in his eyes. No matter what, he had to get rid of the other party. Even if he had to become enemies with all the worlds in the universe, he wouldn't hesitate. For the next period of time, Lin Xian continued to look for ancient herbs. In the end, he collected the 3 10,000-year-old ancient monsters and the storage rings that he had obtained before. He collected everything that could be used in the storage rings. As for the other resources, he threw them all into the mysterious world. Now, he used all his strength to open up a small piece of land, which was about the size of a flower pot. He wanted to see what kind of changes would happen to the soil with enough power. Inside the mysterious world, Lin Xian quietly watched as the energy surged into the soil the size of a flower pot. Then, it bloomed with a trace of light and fell silent again. The spiritual herb he planted also became dim and lifeless. Lin Xian was surprised. What kind of things had happened in this world to have become so strange? However, Although he couldn't do anything, Lin Xian could cultivate himself here. He could even use it to avoid danger. He was curious. Did this world have a world core? Chapter 48:10. He could only walk 1,000 meters now. If he wanted to go further, he would have to wait until his strength increased again. Returning to the withered tree, Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and started to cultivate. The laws around him gathered. With a wave of his hand, 10 spiritual herbs appeared. Then, Lin Xian used the hand of creation to gather them and swallow them into his body. He started to dissolve the medicinal effects. The immortal indestructible technique started to operate. Outside, a huge battle broke out. It seemed like everyone was fighting for something. Nailin Yanran attacked aggressively. Her palm turned into a sky as she attacked continuously. Behind her was the illusory image of an orchid, standing tall and upright. The leaves turned into divine knives and swords, stabbing at her continuously. The person fighting with him was also a woman. She was dressed in black and held a thin sword in her hand. The woman in black was forced to retreat. It seemed like she was no match for Nailin Yanran. Other than here, there was another battle in the distance. The woman in black escaped quickly. Nailin Yanran snorted coldly. Put down the 10,000-year-old ancient herb, or don't blame me for being impolite. She chased and finally came to a valley. The two fought and half of the valley was destroyed. Moreover, this was because they were far away. Otherwise, with a single sword strike, the entire land would have been reduced to ashes. In the mysterious world, Lin Xian opened his eyes. In the next moment, he walked out. When he saw the broken valley, his face darkened. Who was it? Who dared to disturb his cultivation? He snorted coldly, and the 9 heavens' divine thunder trembled. The two people fighting were stunned. Nailin Yanran frowned. It's you. She met this mysterious guy again. The woman in black looked over and exclaimed. You're a disciple of the Tao sect, right? Come and help me. The people of the Heavens sect bullied us. You're from the Tao sect? Lin Xian was shocked. How did you know that I'm the same? The woman in black said. You have the Tao sect token. Of course, I can sense it. Come and help me. Lin Xian looked at Nailin Yanran and said, I gave you face before. Now give me face too. Let him go. All right. Nailin Yanran turned and left. The woman in black was shocked. You can let her leave? Who are you? Is there someone like you in the Tao sect? Nailin Yanran was a heavenly sect master. She was on the Xian ranking. If she was on the same level as her, she should be on the Xian ranking. However, she had never heard of such a person in the Xian ranking of the Tao sect. Lin Xian laughed as well. You're so weak, yet you still dare to provoke him. Aren't you afraid of being killed? The black-clothed woman replied. Who said I'm weak? Wasn't he looking for news about the Medicine King? So I spread out my power. No. You haven't told me who you are. How come I didn't know that an expert like you had appeared in the Tao sect? My name is Lin Xian. So it was you. The black-robed woman was surprised. So you are the brat who slapped the Dragon Palace's face. Although I didn't see the battle with my own eyes, I heard about it. You heavily injured Wang Zhonglo, killed Lan Zilu, and even killed one of Long Ao's incarnations. No wonder Nailin Yanran had to give you face. Lin Xian shrugged and looked at him. What's your name? I'm Bai Susu. Lin Xian was stunned. It couldn't be related to Baizhen, right? You know my brother? Bai Susu was shocked. Lin Xian was also shocked. You're Baizhen's sister? His expression became strange. One must know that he had beaten up Baizhen before. Moreover, Baizhen was from the Dragon Palace. Didn't that mean she was also from the Dragon Palace? Bai Susu didn't know that Baizhen had been taught a lesson by Lin Xian before. However, she could tell that he was worried. Baizhen said, Don't worry. Although Baijin joined the Dragon Palace, I'm not from there. I'm not interested in the Dragon Palace, so I won't participate in the battle between you and the Dragon Palace. Baijin, is he your brother? Lin Xian asked. Bai Susu rolled her eyes. What kind of joke is this? How can trash like that be my younger brother? He's just a disciple from the Bai family. He's a distant relative. After he came to the Dao sect, I gave him a mansion. Since then, we haven't interacted much. However, I heard that after he joined the Dragon Palace, he bullied the weak and feared the weak. He's not a good person. If I meet him, I'll teach him a lesson. That's good. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. He had nothing to do with the Dragon Palace. He hated Baijin. That was enough. At least Baijin wouldn't be hostile to him, let alone seek revenge. Bai Susu didn't plan to attack Lin Xian. Instead, she looked at Lin Xian with interest. You're a middle sage king, but you're so powerful. Not bad. Are you interested in getting the King of Herbs? Do you know where the King of Herbs is? Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't have any information at all. Bai Susu said, Of course, the King of Herbs is staying at 3 places. 2 of them are fake, and 1 of them is real. I know where it is. Why don't we work together? If we really get it, we'll split it equally. Sure. Lin Xian nodded. However, he added, I want to take the root part. Bai Susu didn't mind. Could it be that you want to replant it? Such spiritual herbs of heaven and earth were nurtured by the heavens and earth, and only formed by chance and coincidence. It wouldn't be easy to plant it, and it would take a long time. The Taoist sect had specially opened up a field for spiritual medicine. It was very effective, but it couldn't grow the King of Herbs. I want it to be useful. Lin Xiaoxiao didn't elaborate. He wanted to see if he could provide enough energy to the soil of the mysterious world to restore it. What would happen if he planted the King of Herbs? Where did you say the King of Herbs was? Lin Xian was curious. Bai Susu said, Give me half a day. She should be here soon. Lin Xian didn't know what she was waiting for. However, he was stunned after half a day. He saw another young lady dressed in black jade flying over. Her appearance was identical to Bai Susu's. A clone? Lin Xian was surprised. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. It wasn't a clone, but an avatar. An avatar. Moreover, her avatar seemed to be more terrifying than Long Ao's. The 2 Bai Susu walked together, and their bodies fused together to form one. Their power also increased exponentially. How is it? Are you surprised? I have more than 1 avatar. Otherwise, do you think Nailin Yanren would be able to hunt me down? And more than 1? Lin Xian was stunned. How many avatars did this girl have? Let's go. Bai Susu waved her hand and said. The 2 of them flew into the distance. Along the way, they flew past countless mountains and rivers. Finally, they heard the sound of an intense battle in front of them. Is it here? Lin Xian asked. Bai Susu shook her head. It's fake. Follow me. As she said that, she flew to the right. After flying for a while, they saw a valley. There were people fighting there too. However, Bai Susu shook her head. It's fake too. It's at the last place. The last place was a valley. There were people fighting there too. It seemed that someone had found all 3 places. However, they couldn't be sure where the King of Herbs was. Chapter 48:11. Bai Susu pointed at the canyon and said, It's in there. That shouldn't be the case. If it's in the canyon, these people would have found it long ago. Lin Xian frowned. Bai Susu did not say anything. She flew out of the canyon and a figure that looked exactly like her appeared. It was also a clone of Bai Susu. After Bai Susu merged with her clone, a cold light flashed in her eyes. The King of Medicine was protected by several spirit veins. Those spirit veins had already cultivated into demons, and were extremely terrifying. They had hidden their auras, so it was normal that these people could not find them. If it weren't for the fact that I could create multiple clones to investigate carefully, I probably wouldn't have found them either. Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret god eyes and looked at the canyon. He realized that there was a mysterious force shrouding the canyon, preventing him from investigating. He snorted coldly, and an extremely terrifying light of reincarnation appeared in his eyes. He finally passed through the mysterious aura. He saw that there were 4 spirit veins protecting the King of Medicine below. The King of Medicine was crystal clear and was even more terrifying than a 10,000-year-old herb. Roar! Suddenly, one of the spirit veins roared at the sky and charged at Lin Xian. Lin Xian was shocked. This spirit vein has really cultivated into a demon, and has such intelligence. Where did this dragon come from? The people fighting in the surroundings were also puzzled. They looked in all directions. Lin Xian stretched out his hand. His 5 fingers turned into 5 divine swords and charged to the ground, tearing the canyon apart. You're making a move right away, aren't you going to investigate further? Bai Susu was shocked. She originally wanted to discuss how to lure the people here away and then act in secret. She did not expect Lin Xian to be so direct. Lin Xian said as he attacked. 4 spirit veins that have cultivated into a demon are terrifying. No matter how they hide, they will be discovered. Since that's the case, why don't we attack directly? Before the people in the other 2 places react, we'll get the King of Medicine and leave quickly. All right. Bai Susu gritted her teeth and attacked quickly. At this moment, her strength was much stronger than before. She was not inferior to Nailin Yanren at all. With a palm strike, it was as if it had turned into a waterfall, charging towards a spiritual vein. The spirit vein turned into a spirit tiger and charged over. The 4 spirit veins turned into a spirit dragon, a spirit tiger, a spirit turtle, and a spirit sparrow. Just like the 4 great spirit beasts, they were extremely powerful. What is this? Demonic beast? The surrounding people were shocked. They looked carefully. Suddenly, they were shocked to find that a stalk of spiritual medicine was being protected by the 4 spirit veins. It was releasing an extremely terrifying radiance. The laws on the tree had materialized and were hanging on the tree trunk. King of Medicine! It was the Medicine King! Countless people cried out in alarm, their eyes turning red. They didn't expect their luck to be so good. The King of Medicine was right beside them. Attack! In an instant, these people rushed forward. The spirit turtle walked forward, its body continuously expanding until it turned into a towering mountain that cut off everything. The divine abilities that filled the sky slammed into its tortoise shell, creating a deafening sound. However, he was unable to break it. Was this guy really just a spirit vein? Everyone was shocked. This was even more terrifying than a top-notch demonic beast. Lin Xian also frowned. He could tell that the spirit turtle was indeed a spirit vein. Moreover, this spirit vein was very bright and spread for tens of thousands of miles. In other words, the power of the entire world had been absorbed by this spirit vein. The power condensed by the other party was so terrifying that it couldn't be resisted head-on. Little guy, it's up to you. Lin Xian summoned Little White again. Little White was still a little confused at this moment, but it nodded. All right, what should I do? Lin Xian said, I'll take that spirit dragon away later. You can transform into the spirit dragon and go back. They shouldn't suspect anything since you've eaten the transformation fruit. Find an opportunity to take the King of Medicine away. Then we can leave. Okay. Little White nodded. Lin Xian slapped the spirit dragon with his palm. His 5 fingers formed a claw and enveloped it, bringing it into the distance. The spirit dragon roared at the sky, its body transforming into tens of thousands of miles long. As it swayed, the sky and earth cracked, but it couldn't break through Lin Xian's palm. Kid, where are you going? Bai Susu was shocked. Lin Xian sent a telepathic message. When Bai Susu heard the plan, she was stunned as well. She looked at Little White and exclaimed, "Can this little monkey really do it? That's a spirit dragon transformed from a spirit vein. Who can impersonate it?" Lin Xian chuckled. "Don't worry. Others can't do it, but this little guy can." "All right then." Bai Susu could only wait on the spot. She was nervous as she fought against the spirit tiger. On the other side, Lin Xian brought the spirit dragon and charged into the distance. No one chased after them. Lin Xian took the opportunity and swallowed it into the mysterious world. The spirit dragon was still arrogant and wanted to fight back. But after entering the mysterious world, its body suddenly trembled. It was pressed to the ground by an invisible force. It cried out in pain, its expression turning into one of fear. "Damned human, where is this place? Let me go!" It spoke in human language and roared crazily. Lin Xian was shocked. "You can speak?" "Seems like you've been born with intelligence. Since that's the case, it's easy. Stop struggling because you won't be able to escape. Do you think that your sacred domain can trap me?" The spirit dragon roared into the sky. It waved its terrifying dragon claws and tore the world apart. But here, it couldn't tear the void apart at all. This made it terrified. "What kind of sacred domain is this?" Lin Xian laughed. "This isn't a sacred domain. This is a world, a very mysterious world. How is this possible? How can there be such a world?" The spirit dragon was terrified. Even the buried Emperor Star is terrifying. Suddenly, he roared in horror, because he realized that his body was shrinking, and his power was disappearing. The ground below was absorbing its power. "No!" the spirit dragon begged. "Spare me. I won't dare to do it again. I don't want the King of Herbs anymore. I'll give it all to you. Let me go." It was truly afraid. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. The spirit vein was terrifying, but it couldn't fight against this mysterious world at all. This world is too terrifying. At the same time, he was overjoyed. The spirit dragon was so powerful, and the other 3 spirit beasts were also formed from spirit veins. If he devoured them all, would this world be able to? Would there be some changes? Thinking of this, he was very excited and couldn't wait to go back and try. When this spirit dragon disappeared, Little White transformed into a similar dragon and flew back. It arrived beside the King of Herbs. The King of Herbs didn't notice it, and the other 3 spirit beasts didn't recognize it either. Bai Susu was stunned. This is really possible. How did this little monkey do it? She didn't know that Little White had eaten the transformation fruit. Moreover, it had eaten the entire fruit. In the past, when the transformation fruit appeared, those people would be able to transform after getting a bit. Not to mention now, Little White had eaten the entire fruit. No one would be able to tell the difference between the real and fake forms. Chapter 48:12. Little White approached the Medicine King and suddenly attacked. The treasure basin covered the Medicine King. The Medicine King wanted to escape, but he was sealed in an instant. The treasure basin was extremely mysterious. He could not escape after entering. Last time, the transformation fruit was also covered by Little White with the treasure basin. Later on, when he took out a large number of spiritual herbs in the valley, the transformation fruit was able to escape. Otherwise, he would not have been able to steal it. With the spiritual herbs in hand, Little White was happy and flew into the distance. Roar! 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 The other 3 spirit beasts realized that the Medicine King was gone, and immediately roared. They stared at the spirit dragon and roared nonstop. At the same time, they charged over. Oh no, the Medicine King disappeared. The others also charged over. Someone said, "Hurry up and inform our people to hurry over." Array formations were formed one after another. These people were notifying the others. The spirit dragon turned into Little White and flew into the distance with the treasure basin. At the same time, Lin Xian also walked out of the void. Little White jumped in front of him and handed the treasure basin over. In the next moment, the void fluctuated. A palm blocked it and directly enveloped Little White and the treasure basin. Then it disappeared. What was going on? Bai Susu was stunned behind him. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as well. Terrifying light burst from his eyes as he unleashed spatial powers. He saw a figure fleeing into the distance. Gu Feng! He was instantly furious. Only Gu Feng could use such a spatial ability in the younger generation. With a wave of his hand, a dragon-shaped sword she with the power of the great dragon's sword soul slashed the void. Heaven and earth shattered, and the figure was forced out. However, he soon disappeared. Want to leave? Lin Xian locked his gaze on the other party. At the same time, he summoned the void beast and traveled through space. The two opened a space tunnel and disappeared. In front, Gu Feng's palm formed a space that completely enveloped Little White and the treasure basin. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Lin Xian, no matter how powerful you are, you still fell into my hands. He was too proud. Previously, the ancient race helped Lin Xian and he was imprisoned. Later, he was able to leave. Then, he came here. He joined the Earth sect. This time, when news of the Medicine King spread, he naturally came with the people from the Earth sect. As a genius of the Ground Clan, Gu Feng's space bloodline was extremely terrifying. After he arrived, he hid himself and waited in secret. Finally, the day he had been waiting for had arrived. Although he didn't know how Lin Xian managed to fool those spirit beasts, it wasn't important anymore. Little White struggled, wanting to resist. Gu Feng snorted coldly. It's useless. You can't escape at all. Suddenly, he frowned and looked behind him. Damn it, he was actually able to catch up. It was a void beast. Damn it. Since the other party had snatched the heavenly void beast away from him, he would definitely be able to use many spatial abilities. However, no matter how strong the heavenly void beast was it comparable to the heavenly void scripture of his martial monarch clan? Spatial exile. A large crack opened up an extra-dimensional space and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He had been exiled, but not long after, he broke through the air and arrived. A terrifying dragon-shaped sword aura surrounded his body. Gu Feng frowned. Damn it, the great dragon's sword. If it was someone else, he could completely exile them and not even return for hundreds of years. However, the other party was the successor of the great dragon's sword. The great dragon's sword's attack was unparalleled. It was simply his nemesis. He attacked with his sword. The yin-yang image covered heaven and earth. The yin-yang aura carried an extremely terrifying power. Among them, the power of death erupted. Gu Feng felt his hair stand on end. At the same time, Lin Xian transmitted his voice to Little White. After Little White received the news, she also quickly resisted. Boom! Taking this opportunity, Lin Xian slashed out with a powerful sword. Gu Feng was furious. He used the Great Void Transference. He also attacked powerfully. An illusory image appeared, and his real body appeared on the other side. Between the two, the combination of the illusory and the real, making it impossible for others to kill him. However, this sword strike had shattered the entire void, and the sealing barrier in his hand had also shattered. Little White fled. Her figure flashed and disappeared. Gu Feng didn't care. The little monkey grabbed the treasure bowl in the air. The treasure bowl shook violently, and the Medicine King rushed out. Lin Xian reached out, and a large golden hand enveloped it. Gu Feng's pupils shrank, and the void changed. In an instant, his body and the Medicine King switched places. At the same time, the void finger attacked the golden hand, blocking Lin Xian's attack. Gu Feng executed the great void shift again, disappearing from sight. He grabbed the Medicine King and laughed proudly. Lin Xian, you did have the upper hand before, but now I have begun to cultivate the void scripture. This is the ultimate technique created by the great emperor. You are no match for me at all. From now on, the gap between us will only increase. After saying that, his figure completely disappeared. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, but he didn't chase. This Gu Feng's strength had become much stronger than before. It turned out that he had learned the void scripture. The ancient scripture created by the great emperor was indeed extraordinary. He knew that in addition to Gu Feng, Yu Wudao also cultivated the heavenly emperor scripture. It was equally terrifying. These two people weren't imperial princes yet. He didn't know how strong imperial princes like the Dragon Prince and Kunpingzi would be with the great emperor's ancient scripture. It was probably unimaginable. Thinking of this, he clenched his fists. There was still a long way to go. Behind him, Bai Susu flew over and said, "Why aren't you chasing?" "There's no need to chase." "What do you mean? Don't you want the Medicine King?" Lin Xian smiled. He didn't take the Medicine King. As he said that, he waved his hand. The void split open, and the treasure bowl appeared. A Medicine King appeared in it. Bai Susu's eyes widened in disbelief. It was the Medicine King. What did he take? He took it. Lin Xian smiled. Bai Susu was stunned, but she soon understood that it was the little monkey. Previously, Little White could transform into a spirit dragon. It wouldn't be a problem for her to transform into a Medicine King at a critical moment. No wonder Lin Xian wasn't nervous. That's right, he took Little White. Don't worry, he won't let it run away. However, let's put on a show first. Lin Xian split the world with his sword. At the same time, he shouted angrily, "Gu Feng, you actually defeated me and took the Medicine King! Damn it!" Bai Susu also roared crazily at the side. "Gu Feng, don't be arrogant. The people of the Path sect will be here soon. You definitely won't be able to escape." Their voices were like thunder. In addition, Lin Xian's sword shattered the sky within 1,000,000 miles. Gu Feng's figure also appeared. Although it was only for an instant, he disappeared without a trace. However, everyone in the surroundings heard it. Some of them even saw that figure. All of them were shocked. Gu Feng had obtained the Medicine King. Who was he? Was he very powerful? Someone said. I know. He's from the Earth sect. He's a disciple of the ancients. Was he from the Gu family? Then he must know spatial magic. No wonder he could obtain the Medicine King. So what if he was from the Gu family? Are we the weak ones? In an instant, countless figures rushed out. At the same time, the people from the other two battlefields also charged over, covering the sky and earth as they chased after Gu Feng. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.